Hello everyone, if you're new to my channel, consider liking and subscribing. It will make me feel wonderful if you do that. Thanks. By the way, I also have another Naruto and Luffy fanfiction channel. If you are interested, link is in the description.
One Piece, The Fire Within, by XFangHeartX. What starts out as a normal exploration turns into a fight for Luffy's life, when an evil dragon named Kovar suddenly abducts him. In order to save him, the Straw Hats must go somewhere they have never gone before. Inside their captain's memories. Huge shout out to all the warlords of this channel. You know who you are. Want to stand among legends? Join the channel membership and show your support. Adios.
Aika gaped in disbelief at the woman who was staring down at the group with this smug, cruel grin. Luffy, past Zoro, past Nami, and Vivi stared up at her, the fourth being in great shock and anger, while past Usopp and past Sanji remained out cold. As for the present Robin, she only held her arm and looked down, as if in great shame. "I met your partner, Mr. 8, earlier, Miss Wednesday," said past Robin. Did you kill Igaram?" Vivi questioned. "Did you really kill him, Miss Robin?" asked Brooke. "No, I just set it up to look like I did," Robin answered. "Forget about that," Luffy shouted. "How the hell did you get on our ship? What are you even doing here, Miss All Sunday?" Vivi asked, angrily. "Miss All Sunday?" Aika repeated. "That was my code name," Robin answered. "I was Mr. Zero's partner." "Geez," Usopp muttered. Looking back, I forgot how scary Robin used to look. "Hey," Zoro barked. "Watch it, long nose." "Eep," Usopp squeaked. "I didn't mean it like that, you know, I was just—" "No, Zoro, he's right," Robin said. "I really was someone else, back then, wasn't I?" "I still can't believe that that's you," Aika said. "No, Aika," Robin said. "It's how I used to be. But I'm not that person, anymore." "Oh, really?" Robin gasped silently before she screwed her eyes shut. "No," she hissed, hatefully. "You won't get to me, again, you evil beast. You could be just lying to yourself, you know. You know how easily it is for people to betray you, don't you?" Robin gasped as she began to remember all the times that she had been betrayed by different criminal syndicates wherever she went. But then she growled as she clenched her fists. "No," she shouted. "Just leave me alone, you damn dragon." "Robin, easy." Nami cried as she ran up and put her hands on her shoulders. "I'm sorry," Robin whispered. "You know that that's not gonna happen anymore, right?" Frankie asked. "Yes," Robin answered with a soft smile. "Who is that?" past Nami asked. "Is she Mr. What's-His-Number's partner?" "She's Mr. Zero's partner," answered Vivi, frantically. "She was the only one who knew the boss's true identity, so we followed her and we found out who was in charge." "Actually," said past Robin, "I let you follow me. So, that means she's a good guy," Luffy guessed. "We knew that," Vivi countered. "But then you told the boss that we'd learned his true identity." "Okay, then that means she is bad," Luffy scowled. "Luffy, give it a rest, already," past Zoro muttered. "What were you planning, anyway?" Vivi questioned. "Well, I was curious," past Robin answered. "You seem so earnest, so I just thought I would help you out, that's all. I mean, a princess declaring war on Baroque works, just to save her country. Sounds a bit pathetic, doesn't it?" "That's cold," Blizzard muttered in disbelief. "Is this really how Robin used to act like before she joined up with Luffy?" "Yep," Chopper answered. "How dare you?" Vivi screamed in fury, and at that moment, past Sanji and past Usopp appeared, the former pointing a gun at past Robin while past Usopp held up his slingshot. "Hey, Sanji," past Usopp said. "You do know this is a woman, right?" "Yeah, I know," past Sanji answered. "But I also know that my beloved Miss Wednesday is in danger." "Whoa, dude," Frankie exclaimed. "Did you really just point a gun at a woman?" "I wasn't really gonna shoot her," Sanji argued. "I just tried to intimidate her, that's all." "You better not have shot her," Zoro growled. "Oh, what are you worried about?" Sanji asked. "You didn't start falling for her until 2 years later?" "Well, still," Zoro barked. All right," Nami shouted. "Geez. You know," said past Robin, "I don't like it when people point such dangerous things at me." Suddenly, past Usopp and past Sanji were thrown to the deck, dropping their weapons, and past Zoro gasped as he was quickly disarmed, himself. What the hell? Past Zoro questioned. What was that? Past Nami asked in shock. She must be a devil fruit user. Vivi cried. Whoa, Luffy gaped in awe. Damn, that was fast, Frankie exclaimed. I didn't even see it. Neither did I, Blizzard added. I still can't believe Robin disarmed me, just like that, Zoro said. I'm just full of surprises, aren't I? Asked Robin, coyly. Past Sanji groaned before he sat up and, upon seeing past Robin, grew hearts in his eyes. Whoa, now that I look again, you're hot. Past Robin chuckled. I wouldn't get too excited if I were you. I'm not on an assignment, so I really have no reason to fight you. She then used her powers to flick Luffy's hat off his head and into her hand. Monkey D. Luffy. So you're the captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, are you? Hey, Luffy yelled. Gimme my hat back. You want me to come up there and take it? You are a bad person, past Usopp exclaimed as he hid behind the mass. I suggest you leave this ship, immediately. Seriously? Past Nami asked, incredulously. The present-day Straw Hats felt even more disturbed by this. Everyone knew that messing with Luffy's hat was a surefire way to piss him off. Of course, that was news to Robin, back then, obviously. What rotten luck you have, said past Robin as she put Luffy's hat over hers. You're being hunted down by Baroque works just because you just had to go and be friends with Princess Vivi. She then glanced at Vivi. And as for you, my dear, your only protection is a measly group of ragtag pirates. However, I think the worst luck of all is where your log pose happens to be pointing to. What? Past Nami asked. What do you mean? You're all headed straight for a place known as Little Garden, said Robin. Little Garden? Chopper repeated. Sounds pretty small. Trust me, it's anything but, Nami replied. I guess we won't have to kill you after all, said past Robin. You'll never reach Alabasta or see Sir Crocodile's face. Oh, yeah? Luffy questioned. Says you, now gimme back my hat, you big dummy? Good comeback, past Zoro muttered. Rushing off headlong into death sure seems like a foolish thing to do. Don't you think? Asked past Robin as she threw Luffy's hat back onto his head while also tossing something to Vivi. Was this little garden place really that bad? Aika asked. Well, at first, Usopp began, but then it turned out to be one of the coolest places we ever went to. Huh? Aika muttered. What does he mean by that? Asked Kumi. You'll see in a bit, said Usopp. Trust me, you'll love it. If you say so, said Aika. It's an eternal pose? Asked Vivi. You'll be able to sail safely with that, said past Robin. It points to the island of Nanamanai. It's one stop before Alabasta. It's a route that even our agents don't know about, so no one will follow you there. The island of what Nihu? Chopper repeated. It's not really important, said Robin. So, wait a minute, you're helping us? Past Nami questioned. Why would you give us something like this? Asked Vivi. Maybe it's a trap, past Zoro glared, suspicious. Maybe, past Robin grinned. Who knows? Vivi stared down at the eternal pose in contemplation, but then, Luffy snatched it right out of her hand, causing her to gasp. Keep your thingy, he shouted. We don't need it. With a single squeeze, Luffy soon crushed the compass in his hand, to past Nami's horror. What in the hell? Frankie questioned. I don't understand, Aika cried. Why did Big Brother crush it? I thought you were helping them, Aunt Robin. I was, Robin said. Your brother's just stubborn. You idiot! Past Nami yelled as she kicked Luffy in the face, causing him to fall on the deck. What do you think you're doing? She just gave us an easy course. What if she really is trying to help us? I don't care, Luffy said as he glared at past Robin. You're not the one who decides which course we take. Vivi gasped silently while past Robin only smiled, calmly. I see, she said. What a shame. Wait, I still don't understand the easy way better. With your brother, Zoro began, there's no such thing as the easy way. Your brother loves a challenge, said Blizzard. Otherwise, there'd be no point to him being king of the pirates if all he did was take the easy way out. When it comes to your goals, you have to work hard for them, Usopp added. You don't take the easy way out, otherwise, you'll find yourself bored. Huh? I never thought of it that way, Aika realized before she smiled. Big brother really is amazing, isn't he? Yes, Robin smiled. He certainly is. I may have been mad before, said Nami, but I'm still proud of him. Luffy, you are just past Nami groaned. I hate her, Luffy exclaimed. She blew up curly hair pops. I don't really have a problem with forceful men like you, said past Robin. I do hope we meet again, if you survive. Yeah, well I hope we don't meet again, Luffy countered. Now get off our ship. Very well, past Robin said as she hopped off the portside railing and onto the back of a giant sea turtle with a cowboy hat and a cigar in his mouth. Let's go, Banshee. What the? She's riding on a turtle, past Usopp exclaimed. Whoa, that's a big turtle, Luffy added. He's more interested in the turtle? Brook asked. Don't ask, Zoro said. As for Vivi, she groaned in frustration as she dropped to her knees. I wish I knew what she was playing at, she shouted. She's so infuriating. Oh, well, past Nami shrugged. Her earlier anger now gone. Can't really worry about it, now. Yeah, we're used to scheming women around here, said past Zoro, which caused past Nami to side-eye him and growl. Wait, I don't get it, past Usopp shouted. What is going on? Why is Miss Wednesday on our ship? I'm totally lost here. Quack, Karoo quacked, causing their sniper to shriek. A giant duck, he cried. I'm not sure if I should even be here, said Vivi. What are you talking about? Asked past Nami before she poked Vivi in the head. It's your fault we're being targeted in the first place. If you don't want to endanger us, you shouldn't have told us about the boss's identity in the first place. I said I was sorry. Vivi countered. She did say she was sorry, Nami, said Usopp. I know, Nami answered. I just didn't want her to feel bad about being on the ship with us. It was kind of my way of showing her that I cared, you know? Hey, Sanji, Luffy called. It's morning, I want breakfast. Yeah, I know, past Sanji replied. Sheesh. Never a moment's rest with you, huh? I still can't believe you were up almost all night, said Brook as he looked up at the sky. The sun's already rising. Wow, so pretty, Chopper added. All right, the sun is out, said past Zoro. Let's get a move on. Right, Luffy exclaimed. Let's sail, you guys. Aye, Captain, past Nami replied. Wait, I still didn't get an explanation, past Usopp shouted. What's going on here? Miss Wednesday, who was that creepy chick earlier? However, the memory soon faded to black, right then and there. Why did you give us that eternal pose, anyway, Robin? Asked Nami. I was just testing you all, Robin answered. I wanted to see if Luffy was really a man who followed his own beliefs. Men like him always fascinated me. Fascinated you? Asked Frankie. Why's that? Usopp inquired. No particular reason, said Robin. The Straw Hats were about to ask what she meant by that, but they were soon interrupted when another memory soon appeared. It was sometime after they left Whiskey Peak, and the past Straw Hats were sitting around the Going Merry with Vivi and Karoo now on board. Vivi was talking about how the group shouldn't underestimate the Grand Line and that they shouldn't be relaxing, and yet, the group didn't seem to hear her. Instead, they opted to have some of the drink that past Sanji had made. Karoo seemed to be enjoying it the most, for he was sipping it down, glass after glass. Wow, look at him go! Luffy exclaimed. Yeah, past Usopp cheered. Drink it down, Karoo. He sure can put it away, that duck, past Zoro grinned. I'll say, Frankie added, that duck sure loves his drinks. She, Aika giggled. He's funny, I like him. But didn't Miss Vivi just say you shouldn't be relaxing? Asked Brook. You're one to talk, considering what happened on Sabaody, Usopp glared. It seems that all we do is enjoy downtime whenever we get it, Blizzard said. Yeah, but one way or another, we always jump into action, Sanji added. Take right now for instance, said Nami, and no sooner did she say this that the group spotted a lone dolphin, splashing in the water. Hey, check it out, past Sanji called. A dolphin. Whoa, cool, Luffy exclaimed. How cute, past Nami added. Amazing, Chopper said, just as in awe as the others. But then, as the dolphin leapt into the air, the group soon found themselves horror-stricken when they saw that it easily dwarfed the Merry in size. It's a giant dolphin, they all cried. Holy crap, it's super huge, Frankie shouted. "Yaw!" Chopper, Brook, Aika and Kumi screamed. "Everybody, get away from it!" Luffy shouted with his usual enthusiastic grin while the others soon hurried to steer the Mary away from the huge sea mammal. After an adjustment of the sails, they used the wave the dolphin made to ride away. "Woohoo!" Luffy hollered as he grabbed onto the railing. "Yeah, baby." "I think I'm gonna be sick," Past Usopp cried as he hung onto the mast. "Welcome to the club," Past Sanji called while also hanging onto the railing. "Talk about a wild ride," Robin mused. "Don't remind me," said Usopp. "I thought my stomach was doing a corkscrew." After a while, the excitement died down and the past Straw Hats were sailing on smooth waters, once again, with Luffy laughing from the experience. "Well, that was a rush," Past Zoro commented. "Anyone got a bicarbonate of soda?" Past Usopp asked with a gag. "Are you alright, Nami? Vivi?" asked Past Sanji. "I think we're fine," said Vivi. "What about you, Karoo?" "Quack." Karoo groaned dizzily. As for Luffy, he was still laughing from the whole ordeal before he looked over at Past Nami, who chuckled as she held her head. However, as their eyes met with each other, they suddenly stopped laughing and looked down to see that in all that excitement, Luffy had unknowingly put his hand on Past Nami's hand, which caused him to look up at the navigator as his heart started beating and the memory turned pink. Luffy?" Past Nami asked. "You mind letting go of my hand, please?" "Oh, right." Luffy cried as he stumbled back. "Sorry. I was just, shouldn't you go check our course?" "Oh, right." Past Nami exclaimed as she quickly got to her feet. "What am I doing?" Once her back was turned, Luffy heaved a sigh and put his hand on his chest, where he could still feel his heart racing. "Damn it. I really gotta control myself more." Nami blushed a bit upon remembering that part. Truth be told, she also felt her heart race a bit when she felt Luffy touch her hand, back then, but she just thought it was nothing and didn't really say much about it. After all, she was still figuring things out herself, back then. "Hey," Past Zoro called. "There's an island up ahead." Everyone soon gathered at the bow of the ship, where they soon saw an island come into view. "There's no doubt about it," said Past Nami as she checked the log pose. "After Cactus Island, the next island on our course is the one up ahead." "We made it!" Luffy exclaimed, forgetting his earlier flustered feelings. "This is it, the second island in the Grand Line." "So that's Little Garden?" asked Chopper. "Yep," Nami answered. "You were right," Frankie said. "There's nothing little about it." "Look at those mountains," Aika added. "I don't think those are mountains," said Kumi as she noticed the smoke rising from the top of one. "I think those might be volcanoes." "We have to watch our step, here," said Vivi. "I'm sad Miss All Sunday said." "You mean, there might be monsters on this island?" Past Usopp asked, nervously. "I dunno," said Luffy. "There could be. We'd better find some extra rations here, since we didn't stock up back at Whiskey Peak," Sanji added. Soon, the group sailed inland on a river, where they were soon surrounded by a huge, tropical jungle. "Wow," Past Zoro muttered. "This place is practically overgrown." "This is Little Garden, all right," said Vivi. "Little Garden?" Past Usopp repeated. "Are you kidding? Who would give a name like that to a crazy-looking place like this? There's nothing little about it." "You think we'll find a barbecue restaurant around here?" asked Luffy. "We didn't come all this way for barbecue," Past Sanji barked. "I thought the point of this trip was to get food," said Luffy. "Yeah, food, as in supplies that we need to stock the ship with," Past Sanji corrected while his present self sighed and shook his head. "Always thinking with his stomach, that glutton," said Sanji. "Hey, this is weird," said Chopper as he looked at the scenery. "Most of these plants have gone extinct. They used to be around when the dinosaurs were alive." "Well, that's because," Robin started, only for the sound of a loud squawk to fill the air, causing the more cowardly members of the Straw Hats to cry out in shock. "What in the hell was that?" Past Nami questioned as she looked up at the sky. "Monster. Gotta be." Past Usopp cried. Calm down," said Past Sanji. "It's just a normal, harmless jungle." Sanji?" Past Nami asked, nervously. "What?" Past Sanji asked before he turned around, only to spot a huge shadow, swooping down towards them. "What the hell?" Frankie questioned. Brooke screamed. "It's Cover again." "Wrong." It soon turned out not to be Cover, but rather, a gigantic lizard-like creature with wings, which soon flew off into the sky. Thankfully, past Sanji managed to avoid its talons in time before glaring after it, angrily. "What the hell's the matter with you, you damn bird?" he questioned. Technically, Robin began, that was a giant Archaeopteryx, a winged dinosaur with feathers. It is said that these were how the dinosaurs eventually evolved into birds. "That was really scary," Aika squeaked. "I honestly thought that was Cover trying to come after us," Chopper added. "It wasn't," Usopp said while panting, "but it was still frightening." Then, out of nowhere, a huge boom reverberated into the air, startling the group. "What was that?" Past Usopp questioned. "It sounded like a volcano erupting," Past Nami answered, and not long after, something else emerged from the foliage. A huge tiger. And for some reason, it was covered in blood. Not long after it appeared, it collapsed on the ground and soon souped to its wounds. "Ah!" Chopper shrieked. "What in the hell happened to that thing?" Frankie questioned. "I think I might have a good idea, now that I think back on it," said Nami. "Are you guys seeing this, right now?" Past Nami questioned. "Nothing about this place is normal. What kind of monster could kill a fully grown tiger?" "I agree," Past Usopp nodded. "Going ashore is a bad idea." "Usopp's right," Past Nami said. "Let's just wait here on the ship for the log pose to reset. And then get the hell out of Dodge. We gotta get to Alabasta and quick. You hear that, Luffy?" No answered. "Luffy?" Past Nami asked, worriedly. She. Luffy laughed, his body shaking and his signature impish grin on his face. The Straw Hats, both past and present, immediately saw what that look meant. "Sanji, go and make me lunch," Luffy demanded. "Huh? You want lunch?" Past Sanji asked. "Yeah," Luffy answered. "A big pirate lunchbox with lots of meat and no veggies. I'm gonna need some more energy." "What?" Past Nami barked. "Luffy, are you insane? Where do you think you're going?" "You know, going on an adventure," Luffy grinned. "You wanna come along?" Of course he thinks this an adventure, Blizzard deadpanned. It's Luffy, for crying out loud. "Sometimes I wonder if Luffy's even human," Kumi said as she and Aika hid under the wolf dog. "Sanji, hurry up with that lunchbox," Luffy shouted, heaving his arms up and down. Okay, keep your hat on, will you?" Past Sanji asked as he went to prepare the lunchbox. Sheesh. "Wait, Luffy," Vivi said. "Do you mind if I come along, too?" "Sure," Luffy replied. "The more, the merrier." "Vivi, you too?" Past Nami asked in shock. "Why not?" asked Vivi. "If I stay here, I'll just brood all day. Going with Luffy will at least give me something to do until the log pose sets, right? And besides, I've got Karoo to protect me." Karoo was so shocked that he couldn't even quack. "Ha! My Vivi is so adventurous," Sanji swooned, happily. "Idiot," Zoro muttered, causing Sanji to side-eye him. "Excuse me?" the cook asked. "I don't think I heard what you said." "Fear not, my dear princess," Past Sanji called, lovingly. "I'll be sure to make a special lunchbox, just for you, okay?" "I appreciate that, Sanji," Vivi said. "Do you mind making Karoo a drink, while you're at it?" Sometime later, Past Sanji had finished making the lunchboxes and Karoo's drink, and soon, Luffy, Vivi, and Karoo all headed off into the jungle. "All right, let's go," Luffy exclaimed. "See you later, guys." "Luffy," Past Sanji called out. "You better not let Vivi get hurt, you hear me? Or else you're gonna be in for it if even one hair on her head is missing." Yeah, don't worry about it," Luffy called back before he, Vivi, and Karoo all headed off into the jungle. "He better not let Vivi get hurt," Sanji growled. "Otherwise, I'll wring his rubber neck." Sanji?" Nami asked. "Yes," Sanji answered, inquisitively. "Actually, never mind," Nami replied. "You're gonna see it later, anyway." "Okay," Sanji said in confusion. "Weird." After a while of exploring, the trio found some rather interesting things, such as an ammonite, which Luffy referred to as a shell squidfish, and a huge, long-necked dinosaur. A dinosaur," Aika whispered. "Dinosaurs actually exist?" "You've gotta be kidding me," Chopper exclaimed. "No wonder the island looks so prehistoric. Why the hell are there dinos walking around the island?" asked a shocked Frankie. It's because of the climate, said Nami. Here, there was no ice age to wipe the dinosaurs out. The plant life thrived and thus, the dinosaurs did, too. So basically, it's an island frozen in time, don't you think? Brooke inquired. Otherwise, they all would have been bones, like me, yo ho 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 ho. Wow. Aika whispered. Amazing, what kind of dinosaur is that, anyway? I believe it's an apatosaurus, said Robin. It used to be called Brontosaurus, but the name became obsolete. At that moment, Luffy suddenly jumped onto the apatosaurus's neck, laughing like a giddy kid who just got a huge Christmas present. What in the hell is he doing? Usopp asked. Being an idiot with no sense of danger whatsoever, said Nami. Soon, Luffy climbed up and sat on the reptile's head while the creature just munched on ferns. I think I'll eat my lunch up here, Luffy said as he surveyed the land. It has such a lovely view. Oh, hey, look, volcanoes, and look at those huge caves. Luffy, Vivi shouted. What do you think you're doing? Get down. It may be gentle, but it's still a dinosaur, you need to be more careful. Ah, relax, Vivi, Luffy called. The big guy only wants to eat leaves, anyway, I don't think he even knows that I'm here. It's gonna notice him, now that he's shouting, said Zoro. But never mind, Luffy said. Come up here, you gotta look at this view. But then, the dinosaur suddenly threw its head up and opened its jaws, and swallowed Luffy whole, causing the memory to turn dark. Ah, Chopper, Aika, and Kumi, Luffy got eaten. I guess maybe Apatosaurus did acquire a taste for meat, after all, Robin said. Not funny, Nami and Usopp shouted. How did he even Anji asked. You don't think he, Frankie started. Oh, God, please don't even begin to mention that, Zoro interjected. All of a sudden, the memory returned. And somehow, Luffy had gotten free before he seemed to land on something. At first, the Straw Hats thought that maybe, Luffy didn't very appetizing to the dinosaur after all and he had been coughed back up. However, a closer look revealed how he got out. Something had lopped of the beast's head. Not long after, the Straw Hats soon saw why. Luffy was sitting in the palm of a hand of a giant with a very long beard, wearing a helmet on his head, had on a pair of trousers, wore a dark blue cape, and carried a shield and sword. Gegyagyagya, he laughed. Well, now, what's this? A lively little human boy. I haven't had guests in quite some time. Oh, my God. It's Dory, Usopp exclaimed in excitement. Who? Chopper asked. Dory the Blue Ogre, Usopp answered. One of the giant warriors of Elbaf. Man, I haven't seen him and Brogy in forever. I wonder if they're still having their duel. Wait, what? Aika asked. What duel? Oh, you'll see in a bit, Usopp said. Trust me, you guys are gonna love this. Whoa, Luffy exclaimed. You're huge, old man. Are you a human? Gegyagyagyagyagya, the giant bellowed. No, my young friend. I am Dory, the mightiest warrior in all of Elbaf. He then looked down and noticed Vivi and Karoo, both of whom looked scared out of their skins. Oh, I see you have a friend, excellent, I'm inviting you all to lunch at my place. Wow, really? Luffy asked. You hear that, Vivi? Vivi? He then looked down and saw that Vivi was trying to tend to Karoo, who had fainted from fright. Oh, just take that as a yes from her. The memory had shifted, revealing Luffy, Vivi, and Karoo sitting in front of Dory, the former sitting on top of a giant piece of meat, obviously from that dinosaur that tried to eat the straw hat-wearing boy, while the latter leaned against a giant fossilized skeleton that was even bigger than him. Both Luffy and Dory were laughing and chatting together like they had known each other since forever. The Straw Hats found it a little funny that their captain was already so chummy with the giant, but then again, he always had that effect on people. Well, this is a nice change from all that tense stuff, Nami commented. Tell me about it, said Usopp. It's good to see Luffy relax once in a while. Yeah, but we all know that disaster's coming, Zoro pointed out. Seriously? Sanji asked, incredulously. You gotta kill the mood? Just saying it like it is, Zoro replied. Man, this dinosaur meat sure is good, Pops, Luffy said as he munched on the dinosaur meat. Gegyagyagya, laughed Dory, holding Luffy's tiny lunchbox in his huge fingers. That pirate lunchbox you had wasn't too bad, Either, too bad it's not very filling. Well, of course, it's good, Luffy replied. I'd kick your ass if you didn't like it. Eh? Dory asked as he glared down at Luffy, to Vivi and Karu's fright. What was that? Uh-oh, Chopper cried. Luffy's gonna get beaten up. A pause. But then Dory burst out laughing as he slapped his knee. You're a funny little guy, he exclaimed. Gegya. Ahahaha. Luffy laughed, as well, while Vivi and Karu both sighed in relief. By the way, Pops, Luffy said as he took another bite of dinosaur meat, how come you live all the way out here by yourself? Don't you have a village or something? Yeah, how come he does live there all by himself? Ika asked. Is he homeless? Far from it, Ika, Usopp answered. Well, yes, I do hail from a village, said Dory. It's called Elbaf, a village of warriors. It lies somewhere on the Grand Line. And in Elbaf, we live by one cardinal rule. A cardinal rule? Chopper repeated as he sat on Blizzard's head. What's he talking about? Blizzard asked. Shush, Usopp shushed. Less talking and more listening. You see, when there's a dispute and neither side will yield, Dory explained, the god of Elbaf decides the matter. Our god protects the one who is right and lets him live. You see, I started some trouble a while back and now, here I am on this little island, fighting with another warrior. Whoever is right will win the battle. And live to see another day. He then threw his head back and laughed, again. Gegya, he cackled. But we've been at it for 100 years, already, and nothing's been settled. You've been fighting this guy for 100 years? Luffy asked in disbelief. Eh? Ika questioned. That long? Yep, that long, nodded Usopp in affirmation. Ah, don't you worry about it, said Dory. Us giants have longer lifespans than humans do. We can live to be over 300 years. Gegya. But even if you do live that long, Vivi started, wouldn't you have lost your passion for battle by now? What's the point of the duel anymore? Are you still bent on killing each other? Why is Vivi so worked up? Frankie asked. It's not really any of her business, is it? I think she was really thinking about what was going on at her home, said Nami in concern. But still, fighting someone for 100 years? Asked Chopper. If you ask me, these Elbaf people have pretty stupid rules, Kumi said. Kumi. Usopp scolded. Watch your tongue. Huh? Kumi questioned. But why? I'm just stating an opinion. But then, kaboom! The volcano suddenly erupted, startling Luffy, Vivi, and Karu. Whoa! The volcano just blew up, Luffy exclaimed. Well, time to get going, then, said Dory as he stood up and grabbed a sword and shield. It was decided some time ago that the eruption of Dead Center Mountain would be the signal for combat. A hatred that makes you hack at each other for 100 years? Vivi questioned. That's crazy. What are you fighting about in the first place, MMPH? Luffy suddenly covered her mouth. Quiet, Vivi, he told her. What it's about doesn't matter. The boy speaks the truth, said Dory as he glared towards the jungle, from which another giant emerged. This one had a horned helmet and a shorter beard than him. This is a matter of honor. It's Brogy, Usopp exclaimed in excitement. Gababababa. Brogy laughed before he and Dory charged at each other, their swords making a large clang as they clashed. The reason we fight, Dory began, has long been forgotten. Luffy, Vivi, Karu, and the present-day Straw Hats all gaped while the giants dueled. Whoa! Frankie whispered in awe. Truly remarkable, Brook added. I know, right? Usopp asked. That's exactly what I want to be, one day. You want to be a giant? Chopper asked. No, Usopp yelled. I'm sorry, what I mean is, I want to be a great warrior, like these guys. Ever since I met them, it's been my dream to go to Elbaf and be a strong, powerful warrior like them. Oh, Chopper realized. But wait, Ika said. If they don't remember why they're fighting, then why do they fight, anyway? Can't they just let it go? They sure like they're having fun, said Chopper. So, they don't hate each other, it looks like. But still, Ika began, why keep fighting anyway? It's like Dory said, Ika, Usopp began, it's a matter of honor. You don't understand because you don't live a warrior's life, said Zoro. Once you get into a few fights or so for yourself, then you might understand. I guess, Ika muttered. Vivi sure looked worried, though. She doesn't understand, either, Sanji said. She thought that fighting usually means someone hates somebody else for some reason. It's because of that mindset that she thought she could stop the incoming civil war in Alabasta without anyone dying, said Nami, but, sadly, she's very naive. Sadly, Nami's right, Robin said. She's a sweet child, but ultimately, she's only seen the glass half full. I have to agree with you there, Robin, Sanji said. What do you mean? Aika asked. You'll see later on, sweetie, Nami replied. As the Straw Hats watched the two giants battle, Luffy suddenly fell on his back from watching. Huh? Vivi questioned. Luffy, what's wrong? Are you okay? Too big. Luffy answered. It's too big, huh? Aika asked, confused. It's overwhelming is what he means, Blizzard said. He's in awe just looking at those two fight. Kinda like you when you watch Luffy fighting. Oh, Aika said before she gasped. Oh, I get it now. You see? Asked Usopp. That's what makes these guys so amazing. He's amazed by their fighting spirit. I see, now, Aika nodded. Yeah, I get it, it's really cool. Yeah, it is pretty cool, Kumi agreed. Look at him go. Come on, Brogy, Usopp shouted. Go, Dory. Yeah, go get him, Chopper cheered. Seriously, I don't know what it is with boys and liking to watch men fight, said Nami. Then again, I'm not a man. Neither am I, Robin smiled in amusement. Eventually, the two giants had reached a stalemate before collapsing on the ground, which had been torn up from all their fighting, and then they both laughed. Gababa, ah, Dory, old friend, Brogy exclaimed. How about we have some grog? I got some from my guests. Gegyagyagya, laughed Dory. Sounds great, I haven't had any in ages. Hey, how many times have these two fought, anyway? Asked Frankie. Well, when we got there, they fought about 73,467 times, said Usopp. The one we're watching now is the 73,466th time. That's when a feeling of dread suddenly overcame the sniper. Oh. What? Brook asked. I just remembered what's gonna happen after this, Usopp whispered. A while later, Dory was sitting in front of Luffy, Vivi, and Karoo again, holding a few barrels of grog in his hands. Gegyagyagya, laughed Dory. I see, so Brogy's GU, are they? I saw a young man with a long and a young girl with orange hair. That was Usopp and Nami, Luffy answered. Those dummies, I thought they said they weren't leaving the ship. I guess they wanted to go exploring, after all, she. We only left because Brogy invited us, Usopp complained. This ale must be yours, then, Dory said as he picked up a barrel. Mr. Dory, sir? Vivi asked. You said it would take a whole year for the log pose to reset. That's not true, is it? Didn't you see those little skulls of puny humans, like yourselves? Dory asked. Humans like you who come to Little Garden usually don't survive long enough for the log pose to reset. They either become dinosaur food or die from the humidity or starvation. Some even die because they tried to attack Brogy and me. Even so, no tiny human could ever live long enough to see the log pose reset. He's saying it so casually, said Kumi, nervously. I guess it's because he's a giant, Aika replied. They don't have to worry about that kind of stuff since they live so long. Vivi groaned as she held her head in despair. What am I going to do? Even if we do manage to survive a whole year, what will happen to Alabasta? Oh, Vivi. Sanji whispered, sadly, and Nami also felt her heart go out to the princess since the two had grown so close. Robin felt especially guilty, considering the fact that she helped Crocodile take over the kingdom in the first place. Plus, we'd get pretty bored of this place, said Luffy. Hey, Pops, isn't there a faster way off this island? Well, you could use the eternal pose we have, Dory said, but it's set to our homeland, Elbaf. Brogy and I are actually fighting over that. Perhaps you could try and take it from us by force? Thanks, but no thanks, Luffy said. We're not trying to go to Elbaf, just the next island, right, Vivi? That's right, Vivi answered. If we stray from the course to Alabasta, who knows where we might end up? So, you see our problem, right Pops? Asked Luffy. Dory hummed before he threw his head back and laughed. Gegyagyagya, well, you could just go on your way. Perhaps with luck, you'll be able to make it. Gegyagyagya. Yeah, maybe we should. Luffy agreed. "Ahahahaha. You're certainly a funny little guy," Dory exclaimed. "Gegyagyagya. They seriously don't understand the gravity of the situation, do they?" asked Nami in disbelief. "Talk about devil may care," said Blizzard before he noticed Dory taking a drink from a barrel of ale. But then, out of nowhere, it exploded inside his stomach, and smoke was billowing out of his mouth. "What the hell?" "Oh, crap," Usopp cried. "Dory, what just happened?" Vivi questioned. "The booze blew up," Luffy cried. Quack, Karoo squawked in horror. "Wait, what just happened to him?" Frankie asked. "It was a booby trap," said Robin. "One of my colleagues from Baroque Works, Mr. 5, put an explosive in the grog." Dory groaned as he fell down on his back, to Luffy, Vivi, and Karoo's shock. "Pops!" Luffy screamed. "Mr. Dory!" cried Vivi. "What just happened?" Luffy asked as he stood up on Dory's chest while the giant coughed up blood. "Why did the grog explode? Didn't it come from our ship?" "What a cruel, underhanded thing to do!" Vivi shouted. "You don't think that Brogy did this, do you?" "No way!" Luffy yelled. "Weren't you paying attention at all, Vivi? Nobody who fights 100 years for honor would pull a dirty trick like that, no matter what." "The who did?" The Straw Hats gasped as Dory sat back up, his eyes glowing an unearthly red as he glared down at the two, his hand gripping his sword. "Scary." Chopper, Aika, and Kumi squeaked. "Damn those Baroque work bastards," Usopp growled. "Brogy is just like me," Dory said. "A proud warrior of Elbaf. He would never do such a despicable thing. The only ones who could have done it was you." "What?" Brook questioned. "He blames Luffy, but why?" "Because the booze came from our ship," said Zoro. "It's the only thing that makes sense to him." "Yeah, but still," Blizzard added. "Luffy, let's get out of here," Vivi urged. "It's useless to argue with him." "Maybe it is," Luffy answered, his face having taken on the expression he uses when he's about to get serious, "but I bet it's useless to run, too." "What?" Vivi asked before Luffy tossed her his hat. "Hold this for me," he told her as he stretched his legs. "You might want to stand back, too." "You're not going to fight him, are you?" Vivi questioned. "Luffy, you're no match for him. He's 10 times bigger than you, and he even has a sword." Luffy didn't listen but instead opted to go into his usual fighting stance. "Sorry, Pops," Luffy said, "but it looks like I gotta shut you up." "Is he crazy?" Chopper questioned. "Fighting with his insides all torn up like that?" "He doesn't care," said Zoro. "He's a warrior. To him, injuries like this don't matter if there was some kind of transgression towards him. Luffy's pretty much the same way." "And you, too, Moss Head," Sanji quipped, which caused the swordsman to growl at him in irritation. "Still," said Blizzard, "you think Dory will be all right? I'm more worried about him than Luffy since he's taken on giants before." "Mr. Dory, wait!" Vivi cried. "Please listen, we're innocent in all this. We don't know anything about that exploding ale. Please don't attack us, especially in your condition. Your insides are practically in shreds. You've got to keep still." Unfortunately for Vivi, her words fell on deaf ears as Dory glowered down at Luffy, who returned his glare completely unflinching. "You dare to trick the mighty Dory?" Dory roared as he swung his sword at Luffy, who easily jumped out of the range of the gigantic blade. As Dory swung, he began to cough up a large amount of blood, to Chopper's worry. That was a lot, even for a giant to cough up. He had to be losing several gallons at least, just from that one cough. Even so, he continued to fight, with Luffy easily jumping onto the sword and running along its edge before he leapt into the air. "Gum Goon!" He roared as he prepared an attack, but before he could call it out, Dory knocked him out of the air with his shield. "Oh, no, big brother!" cried Aika. "Oh, horrors!" Brook shouted. Still, Luffy wasn't down and out just yet, for he quickly jumped to his feet, stretched his arms out as far as he could, and grabbed onto a nearby tree before he flew toward it, just narrowly avoiding another swing from Dory's sword, which caused the giant to cough up more blood. Then Luffy began to stretch backward on the tree as far as he possibly could. "Goom! Goom! Rocket!" Luffy roared before Wabam. He sent himself flying right into Dory's gut, causing him to cough up more blood than before. "Why would you hit him there?" Chopper yelled, angrily. "That's his weak spot." Dory groaned as he stumbled for a moment. That is until he raised his foot and stomped Luffy right into the ground. Of course, the Straw Hats weren't too worried since he was made of rubber, but the memory momentarily turned black due to Luffy being pinned. They could hear Vivi and Dory muttering something, but then, the darkness fled and the air was filled with a colossal boom. That's when the Straw Hats realized that Dory finally collapsed. Soon after, Luffy popped out of the ground, gasping for breath. His face seemed smudged, but it was most likely because of the dirt on the sole of Dory's boot. Other than that, though, he was fine due to his rubbery body. "Luffy," Vivi called as she ran to his side. "Are you alright?" "Yeah, I'm fine," Luffy said. "What about Pops? Is he okay?" "I think so," Vivi answered. "As rough as you were, this was probably the only way to get him to lie down." "For once, I'd have to agree," said Chopper. "Still, Luffy shouldn't have hit him in the stomach. He could have exacerbated his injuries." "RRRGH." Luffy growled as he put his hat on his head. "Nee, Luffy," Vivi agreed. "Pops was right," Luffy replied. "Someone spiked that ale, and it sure as hell wasn't the other giant. And my crew would never pull a dirty trick like that." "That can only mean only one thing," said Vivi. "There's someone else here on the island besides us." "I can't believe someone would be so cruel," said Usopp. "Damn those Baroque Works bastards for what they did." "I'm ashamed to have ever been aligned with people like them," Robin said. "Please forgive me." "Now wait a minute," Zoro said. "You weren't the actual one behind this." "Yes," Robin replied, "but I can't help feeling just a little responsible." "Hey, don't sweat it so much," Frankie added. "Seriously, those days are behind you, right?" "Yes. It's just not easy watching this," Robin said. "I hate being reminded of who I was and the people I used to be with." Kaboom! The volcano erupted again, causing everyone to look up. "It's the battle signal, again," said Sanji. "That means Mr. Brogy is coming, right?" Aika asked, worriedly. "But wait," Kumi cried. "Mr. Dory can't fight in his condition." All of a sudden, Dory stood up, to the Straw Hat's surprise. "He's still getting up?" Brook questioned. "Oh, no, not now," Chopper cried. "Wait," Luffy shouted. "Pops, no, you're still hurt." Dory groaned as he staggered over to the giant fossil that he used for his house before he began to lift it up, although he was obviously straining due to the blood dripping from his lips. Hey, Luffy said. "What do you think you're doing?" "You need to stay out of the way," Dory replied, before he dropped the fossil right on top of Luffy, who cried out in shock. "Oh my god, Luffy," Vivi cried. "What is he doing?" Chopper questioned. "Is he out of his mind?" Nami asked in disbelief. "He shouldn't be moving around with injuries like that." "Hey!" Luffy yelled as he squirmed and struggled to get from underneath the fossil, but his body wouldn't budge. "What's the big idea, you jerk? Get your house off of me." "I must go to battle," said Dory between labored breaths. 100 years ago, I started this fight. And if I didn't show my face now, it would tarnish my name as a warrior, and to lose my good name would be to lose my very self." He then turned to walk away. "Forgive me for suspecting you humans." "Wait, Mr. Dory," Vivi called. "This is the judgment of Elbaf, the god of war," said Dory. "Divine protection was not with me. That's all there is to it." "What divine protection?" Luffy questioned. "What gods? That has nothing to do with any of this. Would you really give up your life just because the gods say so? Your fight was interfered with. This fight's not fair anymore." "Silence," Dory boomed. "You puny humans have only lived for 10 or 20 years. You cannot possibly understand Elbaf's sacred code." With that, he marched off towards what could perhaps be his last duel. "Who cares about that?" Luffy questioned as he tried to push the fossil off of himself. "Get this damn mountain off me. RRGH." "Mr. Dory, stop," cried Aika. "Don't do this, Aika. You know he can't hear you," Usopp said. "This is a memory." "I know, but still," Aika replied. "I hate it, too. Believe me," Usopp said as he kneeled to her height level and put his hands on her shoulders. "But trust me. The ones who did this to Dory are gonna get their just desserts. Just try and hold out, understand me?" "Yes," Aika nodded with tears welling up in her eyes. "It's gonna be okay," Usopp said as he wiped the girl's tears away with a confident smile on his face. "I promise you that." Okay, Ika said. RRRGH, Luffy roared as he began pounding his fists on the ground. Damn it, damn it, damn it, he was such a great warrior. Luffy? Vivi asked in surprise. WHO was it? Luffy yelled. WHO the hell did this? I'll find whoever it was. WHO interfered with their duel and ripped their heads off. I'll kill them all. Luffy sure is getting worked up, said Kumi. I don't understand why he cares so much, though. He did just meet the guy. It's because Luffy is a man of honor, himself, said Zoro. Sure, he's a pirate just like the rest of us. But even he has standards. It's true, Blizzard agreed. Look back to what happened when Zoro fought that Kabaji guy back in Orange Town. When Buggy tried to hold Zoro back, Luffy immediately took action. He knows when things like honor and pride are at stake when it comes to fights like the one that Dory and Brogy are having. And that's why he's so mad. Whenever I see Luffy get so angry like that, Chopper began, it reminds me how lucky we are that he's on our side. He then gulped nervously. Hey, where did Karoo go? Asked Vivi as she looked around, and yet could not find nor feather of the duck in question. Come to think of it, where did that duck go? Asked Sanji. Yeah, wasn't he just there? Asked Nami. H. A familiar scream suddenly echoed throughout the jungle, and not long after, past Usopp suddenly came blitzing out of the foliage until he crashed into a rock. Huh? Luffy muttered in surprise. Usopp? That you? Luffy! Past Usopp cried. This is terrible, Nami. She was eaten by a dinosaur. WHAT? Luffy and Vivi questioned. Big sis Nami was eaten? Ika cried. Ika, I'm right here. Nami shouted in anger. Oh, right, said Ika. Now I remember this, Nami said as she glared at Usopp. Usopp, you left me behind to get captured by Baroque Works. I swear, I thought you were behind me, Usopp cried. Honest. Oh, please, Nami scoffed as she rolled her eyes. I heard that before. Now hold on, Vivi called. Calm down a second, Usopp, you said that Nami suddenly disappeared, but didn't you go back and check on her? Thank you, Vivi, Nami exclaimed. At least someone thought of that. I couldn't, past Usopp admitted. I was scared out of my mind. If it wasn't a dinosaur, then maybe it was some kind of wild beast. What else could it have been? I don't know, Vivi answered, but what if there were some Baroque Works agents that followed us here to the island? Of the two of you, Nami's the one that they'd more likely take. After all, you're probably not on their hit list yet. That's true, Usopp surmised. I wasn't on their list until we got to Alabasta. No wonder they took Nami instead of me. The ale that Mr. Dory drank might have been Baroque Works doing, as well, Vivi pointed out. Huh? Past Usopp asked. What are you talking about? You know that grog that the other giant gave him? Luffy asked. Well, Pops drank it, and then it blew up in his belly. What? Past Usopp questioned in shock and disbelief. The booze exploded. That's right, Vivi nodded. And he's going to fight, even though his insides are all torn up? Past Usopp asked. But he and Dory have been fighting with all they've got for 100 years. It's probably the most honorable battle in the history of battles. It can't end this way. Wow, Usopp, said Chopper. You're getting pretty worked up, too. Well, of course I was, Usopp answered. These guys were my inspiration to go to Elbaf in the first place. But then, a huge geyser of blood suddenly sprang up from beyond the trees, causing the Straw Hats to gape in horror. Oh, no, Brook whispered, you don't think? Yeah, Sanji replied. Dory lost. No way, Frankie exclaimed in disbelief. He didn't have a chance, Chopper said as he looked away. His injuries were too much to bear. There was no way he would last much longer. A pause, but then Luffy growled as he started banging his head against the ground. Damn it, damn me, he roared. WHO the hell are you, you bastard? Show YOURSEELF? The Straw Hats could understand their captain's anger, and it was because of that mutual understanding that they remained quiet. It didn't mean that they weren't angry, though. In fact, they were beyond angry at this point. Even Robin, even though she used to be part of Baroque Works. Past Usopp as he looked to the Straw Hat captain. I'm gonna find the bastards who did this, and I'm gonna kill them all. I'll go with you, said Vivi. That's a good idea, past Usopp agreed, with his legs shaking. Good, come with me, Vivi. You can act as my moral support. Really? Asked Sanji, incredulously. Oh, come on, could you blame me? Usopp asked. There's no need for that. The group looked up to see none other than Mr. Five and Miss Valentine, as well as a beaten and bloodied Karoo. It was you, Luffy yelled. You're the ones who did this. Oh my god, Karoo, Vivi cried. You can have the bird back, said Mr. Five as he threw the beaten duck to the ground. Quack, quack, Karoo groaned as he lied on the ground, prompting Vivi to run to his side. Karoo, are you all right? She asked before she glared at Mr. Five and Miss Valentine. How dare you, Karoo had nothing to do with this. Who are those two? Past Usopp asked. They were at Whiskey Peak, Luffy answered. That's right, Mr. Five said. The bird didn't have anything to do with it. The only danger to us was Straw Hat, there. We had to lure the princess away from him, so we needed the duck to call out to her. But he was too damn stubborn. I see, said Chopper. Karoo didn't want to rat Vivi out, so he kept his mouth shut, and he just Mr. Five beat on him. Wow, so loyal, Kumi whispered. But since Straw Hat looks like he's been immobilized, said Mr. Five, we won't be needing this stupid bird anymore. Kya ha 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 ha, laughed Miss Valentine. What a stupid bird he is. Oh, Karoo, whispered as she hugged her precious friend and steed before glaring at the two Baroque Works agents. You'll pay for this. It was you guys, wasn't it? Past Usopp asked as he pointed at Mr. Five, accusingly. You're the one who rigged the grog to explode. Huh? Mr. Five asked. Oh, yeah. That was us. Who are you? Is that guy on the list? No, Miss Valentine answered, but he must be one of them. Let's rub him out. You bastards. Past Usopp cursed. You messed with the giant's duel. So it was you, Luffy yelled as he struggled to get out from under the manga. I'm gonna rip you both apart. You're the ones who are getting rubbed out, Vivi shouted as she pulled out some beads from her jacket, then swung them around on a swing on her fingers. Her peacock slashers. Oh, so you wanna play now, eh, Miss Wednesday? Asked Mr. Five, mockingly. Kya ha ha ha, laughed Miss Valentine. Think you can beat two officer agents? Peacock slasher, Vivi shouted as she charged at the two. Eat this, past Usopp shouted as he aimed his slingshot. Certain death. Exploding star. He fired a shot at the two agents and it seemed to hit its mark. Until it was soon revealed that Miss Valentine jumped out of the way using her devil fruit powers, and Mr. Five was completely unharmed. Oh, crap, I remember this part, Usopp cursed. One of my most humiliating defeats. Robin covered Aika's and Kumi's eyes and ears, just in case. Usopp. Vivi. Look out, Luffy cried. Nespom. Mr. Five began as he held up his fingers to past Usopp, who gasped in shock. Cannon. Kaboom! With that single flick of his fingers, he blasted past Usopp right in the face, and as if that wasn't enough, Miss Valentine came crashing down on him with her 10,000-kilo press, making a crater as she landed. Usopp, no, Luffy cried in horror. How were you able to even stand after that, Usopp? Asked Chopper. She landed right on your spine. To this day, I still have no idea, Usopp answered. Damn you, Vivi cursed as she prepared to hit Mr. Five, who tripped her up with a little mini-explosion. Now calm down, said Mr. Five as he grabbed Vivi by the neck. Don't get too excited. We're not gonna kill you guys, right here and now. We only came to capture you, that's all, per Mr. Three's orders. Hey, Sanji yelled. Put my girlfriend down, damn you. Mr. Three? Vivi asked, straining to get Mr. Five's hand off her throat. The wax fruit user. He's here, too. That's right, said Mr. Five. He uses the wax his body produces as a weapon. He's a candleman. Soon, he handed the captive princess to Miss Valentine, who roughly held her hands behind her back. Ah! Let go! Vivi cried. Kya ha ha ha, laughed Miss Valentine. You better behave yourself, now, princess. She then looked over at the defeated past Usopp and Karoo. Did you idiots really think you could win against two Baroque Works officers like us? Luffy was the only one who was even conscious, but he was panting with exhaustion. Kya ha 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 ha, laughed Miss Valentine. Even Straw Hat, whose bounty is 30 million berries, turned out to be nothing but a joke. Hee hee ha. Mr. Five chuckled. This is what he gets for defeating us back at Whiskey Peak. The fossil on his back is choking him, said Chopper, worriedly. Luffy's body may be made of rubber, but eventually his lungs can't take too much compression. You stupid pirates should have stayed out of our way, said Mr. Five. We've also captured that swordsman and your little girlfriend. You caught Zoro, huh? Luffy asked with a smirk. In that case, you're all screwed. Zoro got caught, Brook asked. But, what did Luffy mean by that? He was talking about them being screwed. By me, Zoro answered. Those Baroque Works' bags were gonna have a real fight on their hands. Sounds like he still trusts you after all, Robin smiled. So you can still talk, huh? Asked Mr. Five as he reeled his leg back. Let's see how big you talk after I give you a face full of my kicking bombs. Luffy grunted as he lifted his head up. Go ahead and try if you want, he started, but in the end, I'm still gonna kick your ass, on that. He spat on Mr. Five's boot. But it didn't seem to faze him at all. How pathetic, said Miss Valentine. Yeah, agreed Mr. Five. So long, Straw Hat. Kaboom! He kicked Luffy in the face, the impact causing the humongous explosion, before the memory faded to black. Oh, no, Aika cried in horror. Big Brother lost? For now, it seems, Nami answered. Those Baroque Works have no concept about honor, do they? Frankie questioned as he punched a fist into his palm. How despicable, Brook hissed. Meddlers, interfering with a duel like that. Why, if I were there, I'd show them a thing or two. You'd also be blown to bits, Usopp said. Seriously, that bomb guy was no joke. Still, at least you guys managed to come back for us, said Nami. Thanks, Usopp. Yeah, well. You know, Usopp said. I was angrier than I was scared. Plus, those ass clowns deserved it after what they did to Dory and Brogy. Suddenly, the memory returned and Luffy gasped for breath as he woke up. Then he looked around and saw past Usopp, who was trying to pull himself out of the crater that Miss Valentine put him in, and Karoo, who was also staggering to his feet. Hey, Usopp, Luffy said, getting the sniper's attention. We're not really gonna let him get away this, are we? Hell no. Past Usopp answered. Quack quack, Karoo squawked furiously before he began to use his build to try and dig Luffy out from under the fossil. Hey, Luffy smirked. You're pissed off too, aren't you, duck? Quack, Karoo squawked again. He said, I'm not letting them getting away with taking Vivi, Chopper translated. Okay then, Luffy said before he finally pulled himself out from underneath the fossil. Let's get moving. Yeah, past Usopp shouted with Karoo quacking in agreement, and with that, all three of them charged off into the jungle. It wasn't very long before they managed to break through with Luffy kicking a palm tree out of the way. However, at the speed they were going, they accidentally ended up crashing along the ground, passing by Mr. Five, Miss Valentine, a slim man with his hair styled into the number 3, a young girl holding a backpack full of art supplies, Brogy, who was lying on the ground along with Dory, and for some reason, past Nami, past Zoro, and Vivi stuck on some kind of cake-like structure. Hey, you GUYHE pointed at the Baroque Works agents. You're gonna die, right here and now. Crash, they ended up hitting the trees. Well, that was quite the entrance, said Sanji. Oh, bite me, Usopp glared. Hey, Aika said. I just realized. Sanji, where were you? Off lollygagging, Zoro answered. I was not, Sanji snapped. I was having tea, in a wax house. That kinda means you were lollygagging, Blizzard muttered. Oh, what do you know? Sanji questioned. All right, Luffy exclaimed as he passed Usopp, and Karoo stood up. Usopp, duck, let's kick their asses. You got it, past Usopp yelled in agreement, wearing his goggles. Quack quack, Karoo squawked out. He said, I'm here to save you, Vivi, Chopper translated. Luffy, Usopp, past Nami cried out, her body getting covered up in wax. Karoo, Vivi called, while past Zoro remained stoic. Brogy, past Usopp called out, don't worry, we're here to avenge you. Usopp. Brogy grunted. Luffy, past Nami called out. Kick these guys' asses. Beat them to a pulp and then send them flying, far, far away. You got it, Luffy replied as he punched a fist into his palm. These jerks ruined the giant's battle. Go get him, big brother, Aika cheered. Ha, now they're really in trouble, Kumi said. Luffy's gonna send them flying, just you watch. So, said Mr. 3, you're the man whose head holds the highest bounty in the East Blue, are you? HMPH, the Marines certainly have lowered their standards. Wow, look at your weird hair, Luffy exclaimed. It looks like a 3, and it's on fire. Shut up, Mr. 3 yelled. Luffy, never mind that, past Nami yelled. We're being turned into wax figures, here. Oh, Luffy said as he finally noticed the trouble the others were in. You're in danger? Nope, past Zoro answered. No danger here. That's when the present-day Straw Hats noticed something disturbing. There was a pool of blood forming around his ankles, and his swords were suspiciously pointed towards them. What the? Past Nami questioned. Zoro, your legs are bleeding. Oh, yeah, past Zoro answered. I kinda hacked about halfway through him. Don't say it so casually, yelled past Nami. Oh, right, Nami said. I forgot that part. Do I even want to know? Robin asked as she glared at Zoro, who gulped. Okay, he stammered, we were trapped and, since Luffy wasn't there and we were running out of time, I felt like I had no choice but to, cut off my legs. What? Chopper shrieked. You tried to cut off your own legs? Aika and Kumi screamed. Wait. Is that where the scars on your ankles are from? Brook asked. Geez, Zoro, I knew you were crazy, but not that crazy, Blizzard yelled. Zoro? Robin asked. Yeah, I know, Zoro said as he braced himself. Smack! Robin promptly slapped the swordsman across the face, leaving a stinging red palm mark on his left cheek. Ouch, Zoro muttered. Anyways, past Zoro grinned as he looked over at Luffy. Luffy, could you break this pillar? We'll let you finish up here. Hey, Luffy replied. No problem, however, Mr. 3 chuckled suspiciously. Sorry, he said, but I'm afraid I can't let you do that. What is that thing, anyway? Asked Aika, worriedly, as she looked at the pillar. It's Mr. 3's special trap, said Robin. He thinks that seeing people dying in his wax is a work of art, so he's using to slowly suffocate Nami, Vivi, and Zoro from the inside out and turn them all into wax figures. What? Aika questioned in shock. Relax, Aika, Nami said, we're okay, see? I don't know what that thing is, Luffy said as he cracked his knuckles, but I'm gonna smash it to bits. Gotcha. Past Usopp agreed as he sat on Karu's back. I feel as good as new. Quack. Karu quacked, also in agreement. Luffy, hurry, past Nami cried. We're getting stiff here. She then looked over at past Zoro, who, for some reason was pointing his sword up to the sky. What are you doing, Zoro? Well, I figured if I'm gonna be a wax statue, past Zoro began, I might as well be in the pose I want. Are you crazy? Past Vivi questioned. This isn't the time for that? Yeah, can't you at least stop your legs from bleeding? Asked past Nami. It hurts me just watching them. Then just don't look at him, past Zoro rebuked. That doesn't help, past Nami said. Besides, what idiot cuts off his own legs so he can run away? You got it wrong, said past Zoro. I was trying to cut my legs off so I could fight. That's even worse, past Nami yelled. Seriously? Sanji asked. How can you expect someone if you can't even stand? Thank you, Sanji, Nami replied. See, Zoro? He gets it? Oh, shut up. Zoro grumbled. Soon, the fight had begun with Luffy charging at Mr. 3 right off the bat, while past Usopp and Karu hid behind the trees. Mr. 3 tried to use his candle lock on Luffy's legs, but that only gave him an advantage in using Brogy's helmet to send himself flying and then used the wax hammer to smash the pillar, which would have crushed past Zoro, past Nami, and Vivi, but instead it landed on another layer of the wax cake, and that only seemed to speed up the hardening process. Hey, guys, what are you doing? Luffy questioned. Get out of there. We can't, past Nami yelled. We can't even move. Wait, you can't? Luffy asked. But I broke the pillar like you told me to? Are we really entrusting our lives to a moron like him, Mr. Bushido? Asked Vivi. We don't really have much choice since we're pretty much frozen like this, now do we? Asked past Zoro. Hold on, said past Nami. I can't move, either, and it's getting really hard to breathe. Ha 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 ha, laughed Mr. 3. Now that the candle is closer, your bodies are hardening faster. You fools will all be part of my wax figure collection. Wait, it sped up? Chopper questioned. Seriously, Luffy doesn't these things through enough, said Nami. To be fair, Frankie began, you didn't exactly what part of the pillar to smash. True, Nami nodded. Still, though, Luffy tends to do more harm than good. Wait a minute. Luffy cried. You guys are turning into wax figures? Why didn't you say so sooner? We're saying so, now, past Nami and Vivi yelled. Luffy, just hurry up and smash the stupid thing, past Zoro shouted. Got it, Luffy replied. Leave it to me. Oh, no you don't, Mr. 3 shouted. Wax wax art harpoon. He then threw a sharp harpoon of wax at Luffy, who yelped in fright as he didn't have time to dodge. Oh, no, Aika cried as she covered her eyes. I can't watch. Hang on, Luffy, past Usopp called out. Certain death, gunpowder star. He fired a shot at Mr. 3, but then Mr. 5 jumped in the way, and ate it, thankfully, had managed to dodge during that time, while past Usopp's gunpowder star exploded in his stomach, which caused him to burp. Gotta say, said the bomb man, that wasn't very tasty. You don't use very good gunpowder, do you? I really need to think those things through, next time, Usopp muttered as he watched his past self's failure. To be fair, Blizzard said, you didn't really know he would do that, so it's not entirely your fault. Thanks, said Usopp. This isn't good, past Nami cried. The wax is coming down faster. Good thing I chose this pose, then, said past Zoro. You idiot, past Nami yelled. Don't you realize we're about to die here? Luffy, Vivi cried. Please hurry, hang on, guys. Luffy called. I'll get you out of there. He then glared up at the wax pumpkin candle that was spinning around. Aha! So that pumpkin thing is what's causing the problem, huh? Well, that didn't take too long for him to figure out, said Brook. Gum goom. Luffy yelled as he stretched his arms back. Bazooka. Candle wall. Wham. Luffy ended up hitting his arms against a wall made of solid wax. Crap. Luffy cursed as he glared at Mr. 3. Hey, you jerk, stop getting in my way. I should say the same about you, Mr. 3 retorted with my masterpiece. He then threw another gob of wax at Luffy's arm. Candle lock. Oh, man, not again. Luffy complained before he gasped. Ooh, wait, actually, this works out better. Soon, he held out his arm, allowing it to get caught in the candle lock. She, Luffy laughed. Thanks for the hammer, bozo. Oh, dear, Mr. 3 muttered in dread before he erected a candle wall in the hope of blocking the incoming attack. Now gum gum. Hammer, Luffy yelled as he punched the wall, and this time, using Mr. 3's wax against him, managed to smash through the wall and sent Mr. 3 flying away. Yes, Aika cheered. He did it, all right, Luffy, Chopper exclaimed. Way to go. As if there was ever a doubt, Kumi said, once again, Luffy comes through, just like always. I wouldn't be cheering just yet, said Zoro. What do you mean? Asked Sanji. Way to go, Luffy, past Nami praised. Now hurry up and get us out of here. Nope, Luffy said, bluntly, to the shock of everyone except those who were present. Wait, what? Frankie questioned. What did he just say? Asked Blizzard. Luffy, stop screwing around, past Zoro barked. Hurry and get us out of this mess. I don't wanna, Luffy said. Luffy, please, you have to help us, cried Vivi. What's going on? Luffy asked, his face visibly showing that he seemed to be struggling. I just don't want to save you guys. That's not true. I do want to save you guys. What's happening? Why can't I move? Hey, Aika said as she looked down at the ground. What's that big brother standing on? That's when the Straw Hats looked down and saw Luffy standing on a black mark on the grass. Color's trap, said Mr. 3's partner, the girl from earlier as she ate a rice cracker. Oh, no, Robin said, dreadfully. That's Miss Goldenweek's power. What do you mean? Asked Frankie. You mean she ate a devil fruit or something? No, It's the power of her hypnosis, said Robin. When she paints a certain color, her victim's mood changes according to that color. And that color is betrayal black, said Miss Goldenweek, as if to finish Robin's sentence for her. Needless to say, the Straw Hats were quite unnerved. They could see Luffy was definitely struggling, and yet, he could not will his body to move to save his crew. And since Luffy was so easy to manipulate, it was no wonder he easily fell for Miss Goldenweek's trap. Her power was certainly a dangerous one. Luffy, hurry up, Past Nami urged. Please, we're running out of time here. I know, Luffy answered, but I still don't want to help you guys. Damn it, yes I do. Come on, me, move. This is just cruel to watch, now, said Brook. Yeah. Now that I hear his inner thoughts, Nami began, I can't help feeling bad for Luffy. Especially now, he's forced to just stand there and watch us die. Luffy, what are you saying? Nami's past self questioned. We're about to become wax figures over here. Don't you get it? We're about to die? I know, Luffy replied, but I just don't feel like it. You don't feel like it? Past Zoro, past Nami, and Vivi shouted. No, 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 I do want to help. I had to help. I don't want you guys to die on me. Past Usopp and Karoo were about go and help Luffy, but unfortunately, they were being held up by Mr. 5 and thus had no choice but to retreat, thus leaving the others behind. You just had to leave us stranded, didn't you? Zoro asked. Cut me some slack, Usopp yelled. I came back, right? Miss Goldenweek, Vivi glared at the one responsible. This is your doing, isn't it? That's right, said Miss Goldenweek as she munched on some rice crackers. It's my colors trap. Betrayal black. The black paint I painted on the ground makes people want to betray their friends. What is she saying? Past Nami questioned. What's going on? That girl is an artist who can accurately recreate the colors of emotions, said Vivi. She uses ordinary paint to make refined color images that hypnotize people. What? Past Zoro questioned. Ah, crap. If it's hypnosis, then that means Luffy doesn't stand a chance. He's a simple-minded buffoon. Sadly, Mosshead's right, said Sanji. Luffy's so dopey, it's so easy for him to get hypnotized like that. Poor big brother, Aika said, worriedly. Yeah, what's he gonna do? Asked Kumi. Well, he can just step off that symbol, right? Past Nami asked. Luffy, get away from that mark on the ground. I don't wanna, Luffy said, bluntly. Damn it, yes I do. AAAAAAARRGH. Wait, Luffy, Vivi called. Don't get off that symbol, whatever you do, please don't. What? Past Nami questioned. What are you doing? Relax, Vivi whispered. Trust me. She then looked back at Luffy. Luffy, do you understand? We don't want you to save us. Oh, well, in that case, Luffy said as he backed off the symbol. Oh, I see, past Zoro said, reverse psychology. Whoa, Luffy exclaimed as he stumbled for a second. Sorry about that, guys. Something was wrong for a minute, there, but don't worry, I'm coming to save you, now. But then, out of nowhere, he suddenly started rolling on the ground with laughter. Ahahahahahahahaha. He guffawed, wildly. Suddenly everything's so funny. Ahahahahahaha. Now what's wrong? Chopper questioned. Look at his back, Robin exclaimed as she pointed at the symbol on Luffy's back. Colors trap. Laughter yellow, said Miss Goldenweek. Now stop trying to destroy the candle. I don't want Mr. 3 getting mad when he gets back. This girl is seriously scary, Frankie said, nervously. Even to this day, I still can't explain it, Robin said. All I know is that she can use her paintings to manipulate people. Then how is Luffy supposed to fight back against someone like her? Blizzard asked. It's on his vest. Past Nami cried. Luffy, quick, take your vest off. No, I just wanna ahahahaha. I just wanna laugh. Ahahahahahaha. Luffy kept howling with laughter. Quit laughing, it's not funny. But then, out of nowhere, Karoo came running back with past Usopp on his back, accidentally trampling over Luffy as they ran from Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, and in doing so, they rubbed out the paint on Luffy's back, causing him to regain his senses, again. That stupid girl did something to me, again, didn't she? Luffy asked before he glared at Miss Goldenweek. Cut it out, will you? Did you enjoy my laughter, Yellow? Miss Goldenweek asked, nonchalantly. Stop getting in my way, already, Luffy yelled. I gotta smash that pumpkin thing and save my friends, now gum goom. Bazooka. Colors trap. Bullfight red, said Miss Goldenweek as she painted a red symbol on the ground, which caused Luffy's arm to hit it instead of the giant candle. What are you doing, you dumb ass? Shouted past Zoro, past Nami, and Vivi. I'm not gonna let you break it, said Miss Goldenweek. Mr. Three's gonna get mad. Now you'll stick to that pattern like a bull goes after a red cape. RRRRRGH. Damn it, Luffy growled. Gum gum bazooka. Unfortunately, it still yielded the same results. Oh come on, Luffy complained. Having fun? Asked Miss Goldenweek. This isn't good, said past Nami. She's taking Luffy out without even lifting a finger. His powers are useless against her. And now for the finishing touch, said Miss Goldenweek as she began to mix two of her paints together. I'll mix laughter yellow and sorrowful blue to make. She then painted a green symbol on Luffy's back. Colors trap, calming green. Soon, Luffy was sitting in front of Miss Goldenweek, drinking a hot cup of tea and eating rice crackers with her. Ah, that's some good tea, he said, serenely. Luffy, you idiot, past Zoro, past Nami, and Vivi yelled. It's not my fault. No matter what I do, she keeps getting in my way. By now, it seemed that it was getting to be too late for the trapped trio, for soon, even their faces had gotten frozen, and all Luffy could do was sit there, having his picnic with Miss Goldenweek. Ook. Luffy grunted in the tea, visibly struggling to fight off the hypnosis, but was ultimately powerless against it. This tea is too good. What do I do? My friends are gonna die, and I can't do anything. Somebody, please help me. The Straw Hats felt their hearts go out to Luffy because that thought sounded like he was about to break down crying. He had already lost his mother and Sabo. Now he was about to lose his friends, as well, and he was absolutely powerless against it. Hang on, Luffy, past Usopp called out, causing Luffy to turn around. Certain death, Fire Star. Kablow. The sniper shot a flaming shot at Luffy, who cried out in surprise, just when he and Karoo had been hit by Mr. Five's breeze breath bomb from his gun. Usopp, what did you shoot Big Brother for? Ika questioned. I'm sorry, Ika, Usopp answered. I had no choice, and besides, look what happened. Past Usopp groaned as he tried to stand up. Luffy, you awake now, dummy? Yeah, Luffy answered. I'm awake. Thanks for the help, Usopp, now that stupid paint won't work on me anymore. As the smoke cleared, the Straw Hats saw their captain, now completely shirtless, and Nami couldn't help but blush upon seeing her captain's six-pack. His skin had gotten burned, but not too severely. The only thing that they could see on his face now was nothing but pure rage. That's it, he shouted. You're not gonna kill my friends while I'm here. Now you've really pissed me off. That was clever what you did, Usopp, Robin said. Risky, but clever. You always did have the brains, Frankie grinned. Yo-ho-ho-ho, Brook laughed. Well done, shucks, Usopp said. I just did what made any sense. While somebody was off doing who knows what, Zoro said while side-eyeing Sanji. Watch it, Moss Head, Sanji sneered. I'll have you know that if it wasn't for me, we'd still be on the island. Soon, the battle began, once again, and this time, Mr. Three returned, wearing a giant suit of armor made of wax. That's when past Usopp realized the Candleman's weakness. The mist in the air was simply melted wax, meaning it was weak to heat. Also, since past Zoro, past Nami, Vivi, and Brogy hadn't been frozen for too long, that meant that there was still a chance to save them. While Luffy kept Mr. Three busy, past Usopp had Karoo run around the candle, avoiding getting shot by Mr. Five as he did, while the sniper was being slowly crushed to death by Miss Valentine sitting on top of his back and adding the kilograms by the hundreds as she did. However, Luffy managed to grab Mr. Three by his hair, the tip of which was on fire, before he ran to the candle in order to burn it. Luffy, past Usopp called out. That tiny flame won't be enough. Burn the rope that Karoo is pulling. The rope? Luffy asked. Why? Just trust me, past Usopp answered as he poured oil all over the rope. I covered the whole thing in oil. Got it? Luffy exclaimed. Okay, you guys, time to wake up. No, stop, Mr. Three cried. Don't do it, sorry, you guys, past Usopp said. It's gonna get hot, so just grit your teeth and bear it. The Straw Hats forced themselves to shield their eyes once Luffy hit the rope with Mr. Three's flame, causing it to explode into a gigantic fireball, as well as melt Mr. Three's armor. Oh, man, Luffy exclaimed, worriedly. I hope I didn't burn them alive. After a moment, past Nami and Vivi emerged. The former wearing just her skirt and bra as she easily whacked Miss Valentine away with her bow staff. Geez, Usopp, past Nami complained. Don't you think you could have done something else? Hey, you're alive, aren't you? Asked past Usopp. That's true, past Nami smiled. Thanks, Usopp. Yeah, Vivi agreed. I can't believe we got out of there alive. Plus, I wouldn't have discovered how lethal flaming swords can be, Zoro pointed out. They sure came in handy when I finished off that bomb guy. Yeah, thanks a lot for getting us out of there, Usopp, said Nami. I know it was a risk, said Usopp, but hey, we're pirates. What are a few risks here and there? That's true, Blizzard nodded. Meanwhile, Luffy quietly gaped at Nami. His heart pounding, his face blushing, and the memory turning pink, once more. When past Nami glanced over at him, she seemed to momentarily blush at the sight of him being shirtless as well. But then she gasped when she spotted Mr. Three running off into the jungle. Oh my god! Past Nami exclaimed. Luffy, the wax guy's getting away. What? Luffy questioned before he saw Mr. Three trying to escape. Hey, you, get back here. With that, he soon chased after him, and Karoo soon joined in the pursuit. Come on, duck, Luffy called. We can't let him get away. Any man who spoils a battle of honor is not a man at all. Quack quack, Karoo quacked in agreement. He's still worked up about that, it seems, said Robin. You know Luffy, said Zoro. He won't stop until the job's done. Soon, the duo managed to find Mr. Three. Only they found multiple copies of him, as well, all of them seeming to laugh smugly. I'm glad you came, Straw Hat, said Mr. Three. Welcome to my wax mansion. Ah, Chopper cried. He multiplied. Which one of them is the real one? Asked Aika. Can you tell which one is the real me? Mr. Three inquired, mockingly. I bet you can't, ha 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 ha. You've really picked a bad enemy, Straw Hat. We're the best brains of Baroque works, and what are you? Some super-powered buffoon who only acts on instinct. You'll never find which one is the real me. I am the great Mr. Three and I never fail my mission. Ah. Chopper moaned, his eyes swirling around in a daze. I'm getting dizzy just looking at these guys. Me, too, Kumi added. Come and step inside, said Mr. Three, but the moment you have your back turned on me, you'll find it stabbed straight through with a dagger to the heart. Ha 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 ha. A pause. But then Luffy reeled his leg back. Gum gum. Stamp, he yelled out as he stretched his foot forward and kicked the real Mr. Three right in the face, to the horror of Miss Goldenweek, who was watching nearby. He got him, Aika cheered. All right, Luffy, way to go, Usopp exclaimed. Mr. Three cried as he was hit against a tree, dropping a dagger on the ground as he fell. But how? How did you know it was me? Instinct, Luffy answered, bluntly. Luffy actually guessed who the real one was based on instinct, Usopp questioned. You know, I'm almost not surprised, Nami smiled. That moron, Zoro grinned. He may not look it, but he can be pretty smart, sometimes. Yes, indeed, Brook agreed. Sometimes, I think he's got better instincts than me, said Blizzard. However, the Straw Hats' conversation was soon interrupted by the thunderous sound of Brogy, bawling his eyes out, forcing them to cover their ears. Luffy, past Nami, and Vivi weren't too far off, either. In fact, Brogy was crying so much, he practically made a giant lake with his tears and there was even a rainbow in the sky. Even his tears are huge, past Nami groaned as she held her hands over her ears. They're like a waterfall, past Zoro added, not bothering to cover his ears at all. Look at that, Luffy exclaimed, it's a rainbow. My ears. Vivi winced while Karoo quacked in agreement. I know how Brogy feels, past Usopp sniffled. Why was Mr. Brogy crying? Aika asked. He's alive, right? He's alive, Usopp started, but he really thought that Dory was killed. Wait, was killed? Frankie repeated. What are you talking about? All of a sudden, Dory just sat up, much to everyone, except for the present incarnations of the ones who were there, to gape in shock. URRRGH. Dory groaned. I guess I passed out, there. Dory? Brogy asked with tears forming in his eyes, again. This time of joy rather than loss. But how can this be? Dory, Vivi cheered. Pops, you're okay, Luffy exclaimed. Chopper questioned, he's alive. But how is that possible? Ika asked. Goo, it must have been the weapons, said Dory, as if to answer her question. The weapons? Asked past Usopp as he wiped his tears away. Oh, I get it, now. Even weapons forged in Elbaf get worn out, Dory explained, in a battle between giants that last a whole century. Thank the heavens for that, Brook said. Yeah, I'm glad that Mr. Dory is okay, Ika smiled. Yeah, me, too. Frankie sniffled. I never doubted Dory for a second, Usopp said. After all, he is a mighty warrior of Elbaf. You were screaming, just like Luffy was, Nami pointed out. Hey, Usopp shouted while the others laughed. This is amazing. Past Usopp whispered. It's truly a miracle. Yeah, Luffy smiled while past Zoro chuckled. Gabababababa, laughed Brogy as he tightly hugged Dory. I'm so glad you're alive, my old friend. Gegyagyagya, chucked Dory with tears in his eyes, despite still being in pain. Please, Brogy. Don't hug so hard. My wound still hurts, you know. What miracle? Asked past Zoro. Your weapons hadn't been cared for over the last century and neither have their owners. That's true, Chopper said. I guess it's because of that Brogy wasn't able to land a fatal blow on Dory, after all. Thank goodness for that. She, Ika giggled. Yeah, good for them. Mr. Brogy and Mr. Dory look so happy. Gabababababa, laughed Brogy. What a glorious day. I give thanks to the great gods of Elbaf. HMPH, Dory scoffed. Are you that proud of yourself for just knocking me out? Fool, Brogy replied as he gave Dory a friendly punch in the arm. That's not what I meant. Ouch, cried Dory. You hit my wound, Brogy, that hurts. Soon, the two were standing up and glaring at each other. You looking for a fight this time? Brogy questioned. Maybe I am, Dory yelled. This time, I'll be the one to knock you out. You're at it again? Past Nami questioned while Luffy just laughed. I guess even if best friends fight, Kumi began, they're still best friends in the end. In a way, they're like Zoro and Sanji. We are not best friends, Zoro and Sanji barked. Huh? Frankie laughed. Sounds like something best friends would say to me. They won't admit it, Nami smirked, but they really do care for each other. Robin chuckled in amusement. Yes, they do. A little while later, the group was back at Dory's house, with Dory himself leaning against the giant fossil with his torso wrapped up in bandages. Gababababa, laughed Brogy. You little people saved our lives. We want to repay you. Gegyagyagya, cackled Dory. We completely forgot about the bounty on our heads. They were pirates? Asked Chopper. Oh, yeah, Usopp answered. Dory and Brogy were both captains of the giant warrior pirates. But, because of their duel, they kind of haven't got back to being with their crew since they started fighting. Some of them are actually still out there, thinking they either died or got lost. Wow, Ika said. I wonder if they know that they're okay. Well, two of them know, now, at least, said Usopp. Kashi and Oimo. Kashi and Oimo, Ika repeated. Who are those guys? Asked Blizzard. You'll see later on, Usopp replied. They only came to this island because of me, said Vivi, rubbing her arm in guilt. But past Nami suddenly pinched her on her cheek. Oh ow, Nami. Stop with the self-blaming crap, past Nami said. Yeah, don't blame yourself, Vivi, said past Usopp, munching on a rice cracker along with Luffy and Kuru. Here, have a rice cracker. Yeah, they're good, Luffy replied. Where did you guys get those? Past Nami asked. Here, Nami, have one, Luffy said as he held out to the navigator, who sighed before she smiled and took it from him. My point is, Vivi. No one here is mad at you, so don't go thinking we are, okay? How sweet of you, Miss Nami, said Brook. Yeah, thanks for cheering her up, Sanji smiled. Well, I had to, Nami said. After all, I kinda knew how she was feeling, considering what I've been through. I see, Robin smiled. No wonder you and her connected so well. Yeah, Nami smiled back. Alright, you guys. Luffy called out. Let's have a rice cracker party. Yeah, past Usopp cheered. Hey, Nami, do a dance for us. Hell no, you perv. Past Nami yelled before she smacked the sniper on the head. Ow! Past Usopp cried. Ha 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 ha, Luffy laughed. Wow, Usopp, your eyes almost came out of your head. Moron. Past Nami muttered. Hey, Nami, smack him again, Luffy said. That Luffy, Blizzard said. Always trying to have fun wherever he can. She, Aika giggled. That's my big brother for you. Doesn't it take a year for the log pose to set here? Asked past Zoro. If that's the case, we're in trouble. We are indeed, small swordsman, said Brogy. Isn't there anything you big guys can do for us? Luffy asked. Are you kidding? Asked Dory. Even we can't control a log pose, boy? Then, how are we going to get back to Alabasta? Vivi asked, worriedly. Ah, don't worry, Vivi, Luffy grinned. We'll work it, one way or another. Nami, Vivi, thank goodness you're both safe. Oh, and you idiots, too. Oh, no. Zoro muttered as he saw past Sanji enter the scene. And cue the eternal night of love, saving the day, Sanji smirked. Oh, hey, Sanji, Luffy greeted. You jackass, past Usopp yelled. Where the hell were you when you needed you most? That's when past Sanji's eyes fell upon Dory and he gawked comically in shock. What the, he questioned, is this guy, Mr. 3? No, Luffy replied. His name's Dory. Oh, past Sanji muttered. Wait a minute. Past Nami said. Sanji, how do you know about Mr. 3? Ooh. Past Sanji chirped with hearts in his eye. Nami, you look good. Smack. Past Nami slapped him across the face at that statement. Sanji muttered before he chuckled nervously while Nami glared at him. My bad. It is a rather good look for you, Miss Nami, Brook noted, only for both Nami and Sanji to smack him in the skull. Shut up, you perv. They both yelled. Ow, Brook cried. Yo-ho-ho-ho, how harsh. Huh? Chopper muttered as he took a closer look at past Nami's stomach. Or rather, at the odd-looking bruise near her navel. Nami, what happened to you there? Oh, right, Nami said. That was where I got tea. Thought it was nothing at first, but, well, you know what happened next. Oh, Chopper realized. Wait, what do you mean? Asked Aika. What happened to you, big sis Nami? You're gonna see soon enough, honey, said Nami. After a while, past Sanji explained where he had been all this time. What? Vivi questioned. You talked with Mr. Zero, himself. That's right, said past Sanji. He thought I was Mr. 3. And you told him that we were all dead? Vivi asked. Yep, past Sanji said, proudly. That's pretty much what I told him. Well, Baroque works may be off our trail, for now, said past Usopp, but we're still stuck on this miserable island. Stuck? Past Sanji asked before he held up an eternal pose. What do you mean, stuck? Why would we be marooned here now that we have this? Everyone gaped in disbelief at what he was holding, causing past Sanji to sweat drop. Did I miss something? He asked. That's an eternal pose to Alabasta, past Nami exclaimed, wearing past Sanji's jacket to cover up her exposed upper torso. Sanji, you found one. That means we can get out of here, past Usopp cheered. Yahoo! Luffy hollered. Way to go, Sanji. Oh, Sanji, thank you, Vivi exclaimed as she hugged past Sanji. I almost lost hope. She then gave him a big kiss on his cheek, causing him to blush as red as a tomato and steam to come out of his ears. No problem. Past Sanji slurred with hearts in his eye, again. Just doing what I can to help. Ah, that's so cute. Aika and Kumi cooed. Ha! Sanji sighed, pleasantly. Such bliss. To be kissed by a princess, Brook said. I must say, I'm quite jealous of you, Mr. Sanji. Yeah, kudos to you, bro, Frankie added with a thumbs up. All right. Luffy exclaimed as he held up some more rice crackers. Rice cracker party time. Hey, wait a minute. Past Usopp called. We only got 3 rice crackers. The party can wait, Captain, said past Nami, although she still took a rice cracker. Anyway. We need to leave, now, while there's not a moment to lose. By the way, Moss Head, said past Sanji. You didn't forget about our hunting contest, did you? Oh, that? Asked past Zoro. Yeah, I won. I bagged a giant rhino with 3 horns. A rhino, huh? Past Sanji repeated. I hope it's edible. Wait, what hunting contest? Asked Chopper. Oh, yeah, said Zoro. The cook and I had a little competition to see who could bag the biggest animal on the island. I found a rhino with 3 horns and I think the cook found some puny lizard. Puny? Sanji repeated. It was huge, even bigger than your big, fat head. Zoro, when you say, rhino with 3 horns, said Robin, I think you really meant a triceratops. Triceratops, rhino, Zoro shrugged, it's the same difference. Hey, you giant guys, Luffy said as he put his hat on his head, we gotta go now. Oh, Broggy asked. You all seem to be in a hurry? While it is sad to see you leave, Dory began, we won't stop you. I hope you're able to save your kingdom, young princess. Thank you very much, Vivi said while she bowed her head, gratefully. Those guys were really cool, said Chopper. You got that right, Chopper, said Usopp. I consider it an honor just watching those 2 duke it out. He then grinned, proudly. That's exactly the kind of man I want to be. Well, Usopp, Ika began, even if I say so myself. You really are a strong warrior in your own way. Yeah, you have your moments, Zoro said. You're pretty brainy, for one. And you're a master shot, too, said Chopper. Ah, shucks, you guys, Usopp said, scratching the back of his head. I mean, I know I'm pretty good, but it's still nice to hear it. Yeah, we know, Nami smiled. See y'all later, giant guys, Luffy called as he walked away. Try not to kill each other until we see you again. Master Dory. Master Brogy, past Usopp exclaimed. Goodbye for now, one day. I will also go to Elbaf and be a proud warrior, just like you too. And with that, the group headed off to the Going Merry together. Well, that was one hell of a time we had, said past Nami, but I never want to do it again. Ah, come on, Nami, Luffy said. Where's your sense of adventure? At home, past Nami answered, sarcastically. Well, whatever, Luffy shrugged. It was still fun, she. Maybe to you, past Nami muttered. But, thanks for saving us, Luffy, and Usopp, too. You're welcome, Luffy smiled. No problem, past Usopp grinned. Quack, Karoo squawked, feeling left out. And of course, you too, Karoo, said Vivi, petting her feathered friend on his neck, which caused him to smile, proudly. You know, Nami began, looking back on what Luffy was thinking, earlier, when we were in the wax, he sounded terrified. He did come close to losing us, said Zoro. I can't say I blame him. But damn, Luffy sure can hide his emotions well, said Sanji. I never heard Luffy sound so scared, before, said Chopper, at least not mentally. It's because Luffy doesn't want us to see him being afraid, said Robin. Right, Zoro? You took the words right out of my mouth, said Zoro. Oh, look, Luffy called, drawing the current Straw Hat's attention. There's the Merry. As everyone got on board the caravel, past Zoro and past Sanji were fighting over their respective quarries. A Triceratops and a T-Rex. Take a good look, dumbass, past Sanji shouted. My lizard is bigger than your damn rhino. Look again, Deadeye, past Zoro retorted. My rhino is bigger. Who cares? Luffy asked as he put on a spare vest. They both looked tasty. Stay out of this, past Zoro and past Sanji yelled. Really, you two? Nami asked. You really are like those 2 giants, always fighting about every little thing. If that's a case, Zoro said, maybe Darkboard and I should duel for 100 years. Maybe we should, Sanji glared at him. Bring it on, Mosshead. I'll be waiting. Are you serious? Usopp questioned. By the time you get to 100 years, you'll both be bones? I don't think that's such a bad thing, Brook added. Yo-ho-ho-ho. Because you're all bones, Ika exclaimed. That's funny, Brook. Brook soon dropped to the ground, sulking. Ika, you can't do that, he groaned. Oops, Ika said. Sorry, Brook. Hey, how long are you guys gonna keep bickering? Past Nami asked. now wearing a light blue shirt. Just cut them both and load as much as you can onto the ship. It's time set sail. Yes, Nami, my dear, past Sanji exclaimed. Hey, Usopp, you agree with me, right? Past Zoro asked. Isn't mine bigger? Huh? Past Usopp asked. Oh, yeah, I don't really care. Can't you two just call it a draw? Asked Vivi. There's no such thing as a draw in a contest. Pasto Zoro and past Sanji yelled. Seriously, you guys? Blizzard muttered in annoyance. Talk about a couple of prudes. What's a prude, anyway? Kumi asked. Ah, I'll tell you when you're older, Blizzard replied. Ha 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 ha, Frankie laughed, still as lively as ever, I see. Soon, the past Straw Hats cut up the dinosaurs that past Sanji and past Zoro had caught, loaded their meat into the storage room, and sailed through the jungle, heading towards the east side of the island. Hey, Luffy said, can't we carry some more of that meat? No, past Sanji said. That's all the ship can hold. What are you trying to do, sink us? No, I'm just hungry, Luffy replied before he looked up and gasps. Hey, guys, look, it's the giants. Sure enough, there were Dory and Brogy up ahead with their backs turned to the ship. They must have come to see us off, past Usopp exclaimed. That was nice of them, said Aika. Those giants sure know how to be polite, huh? Asked Frankie. Actually, said Usopp, that's not the only reason they were there. What do you mean? Asked Chopper. Yeah, what happened? Asked Kumi. You'll see, said Usopp. There's one big reason, Brogy began. Why you little people can't reach the next island, concluded Dory. Huh? Luffy muttered. Yo, defend our honor, said Dory. Now, no matter what, Brogy continued. We will not allow another enemy to trample on our friend's pride, Dory exclaimed. Have faith in us, Brogy shouted. Sail straight onward. No matter what happens, just keep going straight. Luffy nodded. Got it, we'll keep sailing straight ahead. What are they talking about? Asked past Zoro. Beats me, past Sanji answered. It's time to say goodbye, said Dory as he and Brogy stood up, both holding their respective weapons. I hope we meet again. As do I, Brogy agreed. That's when past Nami noticed something emerging from the waters ahead, causing everyone else to look up and see that it was an enormous goldfish. Chopper, Aika, and Kumi shrieked. What the hell? Blizzard questioned. A giant goldfish. It's huge, Brook cried. For some strange reason, Usopp didn't look all that surprised, compared to his past counterpart, at least. Hey, said Sanji, how come you're not freaking out like you usually do? Believe it or not, Usopp began. I made up a story about a giant goldfish to Kaya when I used to visit her. Ah, I know this type of goldfish, said Robin. It's called an island eater. In fact, its droppings are often mistaken for land masses. You mean people actually walked on its poop? Frankie questioned. Ew, cried Chopper and Aika. TMI, Kumi muttered. Too much information. Kumi, I couldn't have said it better myself, said Blizzard. Kya, past Nami shrieked. Something huge just came out of the sea. It's a sea monster, cried Vivi. Usopp, quick, past Nami called. Turn the rudder or we'll be eaten alive. A giant goldfish. Past Usopp muttered. I think I might have heard of something like this before. Usopp, did you hear me? Past Nami yelled. I said turn the rudder. No, past Usopp yelled. We're sailing straight ahead, right, Luffy? Luffy nodded with his usual devil-may-care grin. That's right. Are you all crazy? Frankie questioned. You're gonna sail right into that thing's mouth? Pretty much, said Zoro. I wonder how you'll all get out of this, said Robin with an amused smile. Just watch, Robin, Usopp grinned. You'll see what the true strength of two warriors of Elbaf can really do. Are you two insane? Past Nami questioned. This isn't like what happened with Laboon. Relax, Nami, said Luffy as he gave her one more rice cracker. Here, have a rice cracker. I don't want it, past Nami yelled, but still took it anyway. Forget about what those giants said and turn the ship around. Nami, said past Zoro, nonchalantly, it's best to just resign yourself. But, past Nami whimpered with tears of fear in her eyes. Luffy, past Sanji called. Are you sure we can trust those giants? Yep, Luffy nodded, casually. Are you serious? Vivi questioned. Are you really going to sail straight into that monster's gaping mouth? It's too late, past Nami cried, and soon, the Mary was swallowed up by the goldfish, forcing the group into darkness. Ah, Chopper shrieked, you all got eaten. Ah, Usopp exclaimed. Wait for it, just keep sailing straight, past Usopp cried, even though he had tears in his eyes. You idiot! Past Nami yelled. We've already been swallowed up by that thing. You heard him. Luffy shouted, keep sailing straight. But there's nowhere for you guys to go now, cried Aika. 3, 2, 1. Usopp counted down. On. Hikoku sovereignty, Dory's and Brogy's voices both shouted, and suddenly, a giant hole suddenly pierced through the goldfish's head. On the island, both Dory and Brogy had swung their weapons with such force that they had both broken in half. Not only that, but it was also enough to send the past Straw Hats flying through the air. Not as far as a coup de burst, but just far enough. Whoa, Aika exclaimed while Kumi gaped. Did you guys see that? I saw it, all right. But I don't believe it, Frankie gawked. My word. Brook whispered in awe. That was unheard of. That's the power of 2 warriors of Elbaf, Usopp smirked. Burn that image into your memory. That was awesome, Chopper exclaimed. Woohoo, Luffy cheered. We're outta here. We're alive, past Nami asked as she sat on her knees. Yeah, we're alive, said past Zoro. So pull yourself together, Nami. Need a hug to take your fears away, Nami? Past Sanji asked. Thanks, but no thanks, past Nami said, trying to get herself together. Don't turn, past Usopp exclaimed. Just keep sailing straight ahead. It's huge. Luffy whispered as he held his hat to his head, so huge. Yeah, past Usopp said as tears fell from his eyes, either from relief or pride. They cut right through that monster. That's the power of the warriors of Elbaf. Soon, the tiny pirate ship landed on the ocean's surface with a mighty splash, and all the while, they could hear Dory and Brogy laughing in the distance. May good fortune accompany you, they both called out after the motley crew of pirates, and the memory soon faded to black, right then and there. You think Dory and Brogy are still having their duel? Asked Nami. Who knows, Usopp shrugged. Maybe we'll meet again, one day. I hope they eventually go back home to Elbaf, said Aika. I bet a lot of people must miss them. That was quite an adventure we had there, said Zoro. Yeah, Sanji agreed, but things were about to hectic again, real fast. What makes you say that? Blizzard asked, but as if to answer his question, the memory returned, this time showing the past Straw Hats on the Mary, sailing for Alabasta. Luffy was sitting on the figurehead, as usual, while past Usopp stood at the railing, staring out towards the horizon. Past Sanji wasn't anywhere outside to be seen, so they assumed he was in the galley, making some food, and past Zoro was seen swinging some weights up and down. Chopper was about to say something about that regarding Zoro's ankles, but then he spotted past Nami, who was leaning against the mast. For some reason, she looked a bit tired. It wasn't too long before the others noticed, too. Hey, you okay there, Nami? Frankie asked. Well, your past self, that is. Remember that bite I got on my stomach? Asked Nami. Well, that's what it was doing to me. At first, I just thought I was tired from everything that happened on Little Garden, but, boy, was I wrong. Chopper opened his mouth to speak, but then he heard past Usopp's voice call out to the others. Someday, you guys, the sniper said, I swear. I'm gonna go to Elbaf. To the village of warriors. Yeah, sounds good to me, Luffy exclaimed. To the land of giants. Soon, he and past Usopp began to dance and sing on the railing while Karoo just ran around in circles. Past Nami just stared at them, tiredly, wondering where they got their energy from. Of course, Luffy and past Usopp weren't being very careful and nearly fell overboard, had they not grabbed onto the railing fast enough. What a couple of idiots, Sanji muttered in annoyance. Can't you two learn to be more careful? Nami asked. Sorry. Usopp apologized. Vivi, here, said past Nami as she handed Vivi the eternal pose. I'm still tired from what happened on that island. Can you keep an eye on the eternal pose for me? Of course, Vivi nodded as she held the compass in her hands. I bet you're relieved, right? Asked past Nami. Now you can finally go back home. That is, as long as we don't run into any more trouble along the way. Nami had to mentally hit herself for that, for she knew what was going to happen not long after this. Yes, Vivi nodded. I've got to get home and save my kingdom. She then looked up at the sky with a serious expression. I will live. And I will return to Alabasta. She's so determined, Robin said. I can't help feeling bad for the things I've done to her home. Robin, I think she forgives you by now, said Sanji. Oh, hold grudges forever. Trust me, I know. Yeah, Nami nodded. Stop being so hard on yourself, okay? That's right, Aunt Robin. Aika added. Smile, like you always do. Hem. Robin chuckled. Thank you. Don't worry, Vivi, said past Sanji as he approached the two women while holding a plate of tarts. You got me. Ahem. Past Nami cleared her throat. And of course, Nami and those guys, past Sanji said before he offered the tarts to the girls. Petty Fore. They're a specially made snack for the day. You also have the choice of coffee or tea. Oh, Sanji, Vivi smiled. Thank you. That's when Luffy, past Usopp, and Karoo appeared, drooling over the sweets, causing past Sanji to glare at them both. Yours are in the kitchen, the cook told them, now go. And on that, the three gluttons hurried to the galley to get their sweets. Once they did, they began to gobble up as much as they could. Past Sanji soon came in to prepare drinks for the girls, but then, out of nowhere, they heard Vivi scream. Everyone, come quick. Huh? Luffy asked before he and past Usopp went outside with stuffed cheeks. What's wrong, Vivi? Something's wrong. Vivi cried. Nami just collapsed with a terrible fever. What? Past Sanji questioned. Nami's sick? What? Aika cried, and soon, the group had gathered around past Nami, who had collapsed on the deck, her face flushed a bright red, and a practical pool of sweat forming around her. To put it simply, she looked like she was about to die. Almost instantly, the memory seemed to take on a shade of yellow, and Luffy was staring at past Nami with this terrified look. She looks like Mom, when she was about to. Oh, God, Nami whispered in horror. Seeing you like that must have reminded Luffy of when Star died, Usopp whispered. What happened to you, Miss Nami? Brook asked. Nami was bitten by a Kestia tick, Chopper answered with his professional voice, though he tried not to panic himself. They're mostly extinct, except on Little Garden because the climate there is the perfect environment for them to live in. It's an ectoparasite that feeds off the blood of mammals and birds and its bite has deadly bacteria. That bruise on Nami's stomach was where she got bitten. So, what happens when someone gets bit? Kumi asked, worriedly. Well, infection usually sets in within 5 days after the tick bites you, Chopper replied. The victim experiences intense pain, followed by gaining a fever of 104 degrees. After that, the victim begins to suffer from myocarditis, arteritis, and encephalitis, and then, Aika whispered. Let's just say Nami wouldn't even be standing here, right now, Chopper said, grimly. You mean she would've? Aika asked. Yeah, Nami said, sadly. I would have been dead, long ago. Damn. Frankie cursed in disbelief. To think a little bug could do that. There are lots of insects that carry diseases, Chopper replied. Nami got lucky. She managed to get to us in time. Yeah, thanks to you, Chopper, said Zoro. Huh? Aika asked. What's Zoro mean? Just watch, Aika, said Nami. You'll see later. Soon, the memory shifted, and Luffy was gently carrying past Nami, bridal style until he laid her down on the bed and tucked her up under some blankets. Vivi took this time to put a damp cloth on her forehead and then take her temperature while past Sanji, who was sobbing and biting on a handkerchief, and past Usopp stood nearby, worriedly. Is Nami going to be all right, Vivi? Past Sanji whimpered. Oh, get over yourself, said Zoro. For your information, I really was worried for Nami's safety, as a friend, Sanji barked. Geez. It must have been the climate, said Vivi. One of the dangers you encounter upon entering the Grand Line is sickness caused by the extreme weather. Even the most notorious pirates who sail the seas can suddenly get sick and die. It's a common occurrence. Even the tiniest cold can kill you if you're not too careful. She's right, Chopper nodded. Believe it or not, I've seen it happen on Drum Island several times. So, wait, Kumi said. People can really die from something as simple as a cold? I thought that was a myth. Big sis Nami. Aika whispered, worriedly. Isn't there anyone here on this crew that knows anything about medicine? Asked Vivi. Only for Luffy and past Usopp to point at Nami while past Sanji sobbed. Wow, Nami muttered in irritation. What was I, the nanny to these morons? To be fair, you did know more about medicine than we did, said Usopp. I mean, look what you did for Johnny when he got scurvy. Yeah, but I'm no professional, Nami rebuked. Chopper's the real expert. Shut up, Chopper said, trying not to sound happy due to the seriousness of the situation. Like saying that will make me happy. Still, Robin began, you were foolish to enter the Grand Line without a doctor. Well, maybe we should just give her meat and she'll feel better, right? Luffy asked. Or maybe tangerines, since she likes those, right, Sanji, right? Well, I might be able to cook up something she could eat, said past Sanji. That's basic care you'd give any sick person. But it won't be enough to cure her. Up until now, I've taken extra care in providing Nami's and Vivi's meals with fresh ingredients. I always made sure they were well balanced and they had proper consumption of meats, fruits, and vegetables. Anything that's rotten or moldy. He then points to Luffy and past Usopp. Goes to you. Jerk, past Usopp shouted as he smacked the cook's hand. Oh, well, Luffy shrugged. It still tastes good to me, ahahaha. He must really have an iron stomach, Nami said in annoyance. Sanji. You don't really do that, do you? Asked Aika, worriedly. That's messed up, man, Frankie added. You better not try and feed me any crap, Blizzard barked. Of course not, Sanji replied. I'm a cook, not a killer. Oh, really? Zoro glared. Sure you haven't tried to rat poison in my food? Enough, you too, Robin scolded. Thank you, Robin, Nami said. Anyway, past Sanji continued. As long as I'm the cook on this ship, no one has to worry about basic nutrition. However, there are all sorts of special foods that are good for different diseases. But I don't know what Nami has. Well, then just feed her all of them, Luffy said. Oh, sure, past Sanji grumbled. That's a surefire way to get someone sick. That's his answer to everything, isn't it? Asked Usopp, incredulously. It comes from a good place, I know, said Nami. At least he thought of giving me tangerines. That's when Vivi removed the thermometer from underneath past Nami's back, only to gasp in horror when she saw the temperature. 104 degrees Fahrenheit. She cried. Well, I'm sure there's a doctor that can help us in Alabasta, right? Past Usopp asked. How much farther until we get there, Vivi? I'm not sure, Vivi answered, but it'll take us at least a week, at best. So she's sick, Luffy said. Is it really that big a deal? I don't know, past Usopp and past Sanji replied as they tilted their heads. I've never been this sick. What kind of people are you? Vivi questioned. A fever of 104 degrees is catastrophic. Whatever this disease is, it's possibly life-threatening. Upon hearing that, the boys in the room, and Karoo, began to shriek. You mean Nami's gonna die? Luffy screamed as he stomped his foot on the floor while past Sanji was wailing like a baby and past Usopp and Karoo were running around, screaming their heads off. Your screams aren't helping, Vivi yelled. We have to find Nami a doctor before she dies, Luffy screamed. Wait, Vivi called. Everybody, just calm down, please. Listen. Past Nami wheezed, causing all commotion in the room to stop. Soon after, the navigator sat up, to everyone's surprise. Yay, she's cured, Luffy cheered, only for past Usopp to smack him in the back of his head. Shut up, he yelled. Big sis? Aika asked. And up like that, especially in your condition, Chopper cried. What were you thinking? You'll see why, Nami answered, grimly. Luffy, past Nami said. Listen, there's a newspaper in my desk. Can you grab it and give it to Vivi, please? Newspaper? Luffy repeated before he went over to the desk, opened up a drawer, and took out a folded-up newspaper. You mean this? Yeah, past Nami nodded, weakly. Give it to Vivi. Okay, Luffy said before he handed Vivi the newspaper. Needless to say, Vivi was horrified by what she had found. 300,000 soldiers had defected from Alabasta's royal army and joined the rebels. The royal army was once 600,000 men strong while the rebels had 400,000, but with half of them going to rebels' side, that meant that the royal army was now outnumbered and outgunned. Vivi was horrified in knowing that if they clashed, many lives would be lost. What made it worse was the fact that past Nami found out about this 3 days prior and hid it from Vivi because she didn't want to cause her to worry. Robin couldn't help feeling guilty. Sure, she didn't exactly give Crocodile what he wanted, but she still played a part in tearing apart Vivi's home. Watching this memory only reminded her of her sins. "You understand, right, Luffy?" asked past Nami. "Right," Luffy nodded. "It sounds bad." "That's because it is," said past Nami. "I'm glad you're starting to take this seriously." "But Nami," past Usopp started, "you need to see a doctor." "I'm fine," said past Nami, trying to get out of bed. "The thermometer must be broken or something. I mean, who ever heard of having a temperature of 104 degrees? It's stupid. I was probably just having heat stroke or something. I don't need to see a doctor." She then got up and headed out the door, although she wobbled a bit. "We need to stick to the plan and sail straight for Alabasta." But Nami," Luffy said. "You're not." "Thanks for worrying about me," said past Nami, "but I'm fine." "Really?" On that, she headed out. "She's not really better, is she?" Luffy asked. "I don't think so," said past Usopp, "but Nami's always gotta be so damn stubborn." Usopp was right, though, Nami, Chopper said. "You really should have seen a doctor first." "I know," Nami replied. "I was just more concerned about helping Vivi than myself. I mean, she was finally going home and then this happens." "But Big Brother was really worried about you," said Aika. "Everyone was." "You really should have thought of yourself first, Miss Nami," Brook pointed out. "I know that, now," Nami said as she held her arm. "I'm sorry." "Hey, don't sweat it," Usopp assured. "You only did what you thought was good for Vivi. We can't really blame you." "But you still should have rested," Zoro said. "Oh, really?" Nami asked, skeptically. "Says the one who won't listen to Chopper when he says you need bed rest." "That's different," Zoro glared. "I have to stop this," Vivi spoke as she sat on the floor on her knees, tightly gripping the newspaper. "I have to stop the war at all costs. Or it will mean the end of Alabasta as we know it. Crocodile will completely take over the kingdom." She then shoved her face into the newspaper. "Not only do I have to get home alive, but as soon as possible, I've got to get home or 1,000,000 of my people will kill each other in a senseless war." "Whoa, 1,000,000 people?" Luffy questioned. "Vivi," past Sanji said, "sadly, you carry a heavy burden on your shoulders." "You see?" asked Nami. "That's why we had to hurry." "I understand," Chopper began, "but still, Nami. Your health comes first, please try not to do that again, please." "Please, big sis Nami?" Aika asked. "Of course," Nami smiled. "I'm sorry." "Hey, you guys," past Zoro's voice called from outside. "Come outside, Nami says it's time to get to work." Soon, past Usopp, past Sanji, and Karoo walked outside, but Luffy seemed hesitant for a moment. "Luffy?" past Usopp asked. "You coming or what?" "Yeah," Luffy replied as he followed him out. "Nami needs to see a doctor. She needs to or she's gonna die." Nami felt her heart clench. She did feel bad for Vivi, but she felt even worse for Luffy since she was looking at his memories. Now, it was bad enough when his mother died from sickness. Now he found Nami in the same state and it was beginning to hurt him, too. She felt like she was forcing him to go through what he had to as a child, and back then, she didn't even know it until now. Soon, the group was outside and saw past Zoro standing up on the upper deck. "Listen," he said, "we're gonna make a turn south." "I don't take orders from you, Moss Head," said past Sanji. "Ah, just shut up and get to work already," said past Zoro. "Hoist the sails and catch the wind to port. Nami's orders." "What's going on, Nami?" asked past Sanji as he looked at past Nami, who was still wobbling, dizzily. "The sea's calm and the sky's clear." "The wind," past Nami said. "There's a big wind coming, up ahead, I think." That's when Luffy suddenly went up and put his palm on past Nami's forehead, only to quickly pull it away, as if he had gotten burned. "Your head's on fire," he shouted. "We have to get you to a doctor." I told you, I don't need to see a doctor, past Nami shouted. This is my normal temperature. Nami, please, be reasonable, said past Sanji. I know you want to help Vivi, but if you overexert yourself. Sanji, I said I'm fine, past Nami barked. Nami, maybe you should go back to bed and, past Usopp started, only to get cut off. Shut up and turn the ship, already, past Nami yelled. I keep telling you, I don't need to see a doctor. But, Nami, Luffy said, worriedly. What's with that sad look, past Nami questioned, get going. Okay. Luffy muttered as he turned to leave, but then, Vivi came outside with a determined expression. Everyone, she called. I'm sorry, but I need to ask a favor from all of you. I know this is gonna sound selfish of me after everything you've done for me, already. But my country is in grave danger and I've got to get back to it. Right away, there's not a moment to lose. Vivi. Chopper whispered. So, I want you to sail this ship at full speed, Vivi continued, and head straight for Alabasta. Of course, we will, past Nami smiled, weakly, we promised you. But Vivi, Luffy said. Nami's sick. I'm not Luffy, past Nami argued. Stop acting like a worrywart. I know, Luffy, Vivi said, which is why I say. Let's look for an island with a doctor, as fast as possible. Luffy gasped silently at this. If we want to get to Alabasta, said Vivi, then we need to get Nami well, as fast as possible so we can get there faster. The Straw Hats, both past and present, all smiled at the princess's words. Absolutely, Luffy answered. This ship can't go any faster without Nami. Are you sure you're okay with this, Vivi? Asked past Usopp. What about your people, Vivi? I am sure, Usopp, said Vivi, which is why we need to get Nami better, and fast. HMPH, past Sanji grinned. Well said, Vivi. You got a big heart, past Zoro smirked. Thank you for your concern, Nami, said Vivi, but please, don't push yourself for my sake. Vivi, past Nami said, weakly. I'm sorry. I guess I'm not fine after all. Thank you, Vivi, Aika exclaimed. That girl is truly a saint. Just like Miss Nami, Brooke said. Yes, they both are, Robin smiled. Goo. I ain't crying. Not at all, Frankie sobbed as he wiped his eyes. Vivi's pretty amazing, huh? Kumi asked with a bright smile. She sure is, Sanji smiled. Why do you think I fell for her? You mean aside from her figure? Blizzard quipped, only for Sanji to shove him in the side. Hee, relax, I'm kidding. Whoa, Luffy cried as he pointed at a humongous cyclone. Ah, past Usopp, as well as his present-day self and present-day Chopper, shrieked. Damn it. It's a cyclone. Past Nami cursed before she suddenly fell on her knees and nagged to catch her while Luffy and the rest of the boys worked to get away from it as fast as possible. Nami, she cried. Just hold on, I'll get you to bed, okay? That's one huge cyclone, Frankie exclaimed. It was a lucky thing I managed to sense it, despite my condition, said Nami. Otherwise, we would have sailed right into it. Wow, Nami. That's amazing, Chopper exclaimed. Indeed, Robin agreed. Not many people can sense cyclones right away. What can I say? Asked Nami. I guess I got the gift. The memory had shifted, revealing Luffy, past Sanji, and Vivi, the two of them now wearing coats, indicating that the crew had sailed into colder weather. Past Nami was lying on her bed, seeming more feverish than before. Chopper couldn't help but feel worried as he watched her condition, estimating that at least 2 days had passed since her symptoms first showed. While Vivi stood nearby with concern, past Sanji looked like he was trying to be calm, but Luffy, he looked, well, uncertain, for lack of better word. Are you sure she's not just hungry? Luffy asked, which earned annoyed glances from past Sanji and Vivi. But the Straw Hats could also see that they, too, were uncertain. Perhaps they felt that Luffy was being in a bit of denial himself. Maybe we should try and feed her a bunch of meat, Luffy exclaimed. That always makes me feel better. Oh, Luffy. Nami whispered. She knew he meant well, but still, sometimes he could give her such a headache. Of course, he'd think that, Usopp muttered. Seriously, does that idiot have any idea what he's talking about, half the time? Asked Sanji. Sometimes, I wonder that myself, Blizzard added. Shut up, Luffy, past Sanji muttered. This is no time for jokes. Come on, Nami, cheer up, Luffy said before he began to take parts of his face like his ears, his nose, and his chin, and twist them up like a circus balloon and began to make a silly face. Did he seriously think that would work? Asked Frankie. It works for me, sometimes, Aika answered with a giggle. PFF'd. Nami buzzed her lips before she slapped her hands over her mouth. Wait, you really think that's funny? Asked Zoro. If I saw that, I'd freak the hell out. It's just, I know he doesn't really get a grasp of what's happening, said Nami, but he can be sweet, sometimes. Look at what he tries to do for me. He can be sweet, sometimes, Robin smiled. Unfortunately, past Nami gave no reaction, whatsoever, to Luffy's horror. No change. At all. He gaped. Oh, I know, what if we just throw a bunch of water on her? That comment proved to be the final straw for past Sanji and Vivi, who promptly knocked him to the other side of the room, where a picture frame soon fell on his face, knocking him out cold and causing the memory to fade to black. Luffy really doesn't know how fever works, do they? Asked Chopper. Isn't that what you did when I had a fever, once? Aika asked. Not exactly, honey, Robin replied. What we did was soak you in the bathtub for a bit, and then put you back to bed. If Luffy threw water on Nami in her condition, he would have killed her, said Chopper. Oh, Aika said, worriedly. Soon, the memory returned, but this time it showed a different room full of hammocks made entirely of ropes, a couch, and a coffee table. This was obviously the men's quarters of the Mary, and for some reason, it was completely empty. But Luffy was sitting up against the left side of the couch, hugging his knees and having his hat over his eyes. However, the Straw Hats noticed something unsettling. They could just make out tear stains on Luffy's cheeks. Was Luffy crying? Usopp asked with concern. Wait a minute, Sanji realized. I was wondering why he hadn't shown up for breakfast that morning. At that moment, Vivi came walking in, perhaps coming to look for Luffy until her eyes fell upon him. Luffy? The princess called as she walked up to him. Hey, you know it's breakfast, right? Luffy looked up at her, revealing his tear-stained cheeks and his puffy, red eyes, causing Vivi to gasp. Luffy? She asked as she got down on her knees with him like he was a 5-year-old child. Are you okay? What's wrong? Is Nami really gonna die? Luffy asked. Oh, Luffy, Vivi said as she put a comforting hand on his shoulder. No. Of course she's not. We just need to find her a doctor and she'll feel better, that's all. But what if the doctor can't help her? Luffy asked. What if we still find a doctor? And Nami still dies? Just like my. He then bit his lip and looked away from Vivi, whose eyes went wide. Yes, she asked. Like my mom. Luffy whispered. She died when I was just a kid, and on my 6th birthday. Nami tried her damnedest not to go into tears herself. It made sense for Luffy to feel that way. After all, Star went to the doctor at the last minute and help came too late for her. Now he was afraid the same thing would happen to Nami. And he didn't want to go through that grief, all over again. I'm so sorry, Luffy, whispered Vivi. I didn't know you had lost your mother. She then put a hand on Luffy's hand in an attempt to comfort him. I lost mine, too. She passed away when I was a little girl. I'm sorry, Luffy said, somberly. Luffy, Vivi said, I know it's hard for you right now. Seeing Nami this way must bring back some really bad memories for you. Yeah. Luffy muttered. But then Vivi pulled the Straw Hat Captain into an embrace, which seemed to surprise him a bit, more so because of how awkward it seemed. But then he gently returned the hug and gave a soft, shuddering sigh. The Straw Hats, especially Sanji, had to smile at how caring Vivi was. If that was the cook's past counterpart, he would have kicked Luffy in a jealous rage. He was actually a bit glad he wasn't there at the time. What a sweet moment between friends, Frankie sniffled. That was really nice of Vivi to cheer Luffy up like that, said Kumi. Yeah, Chopper smiled. Feel better now? Asked Vivi. Yeah. Thanks, Luffy replied. Of course, Vivi answered as she pulled away. Now Luffy. I know you're a little upset about Nami. But you have to be strong. You're the captain of this crew. Your friends need you now more than ever. If you lose hope, then so will they. Do you understand? Luffy only sat there, a rare look of contemplation on his features before he nodded his head. I get it, he said. I'll try and be strong, Vivi. Good, Vivi smiled. Now, You should go and eat something. You won't be of any use to anyone if you're hungry. Luffy opened his mouth to argue, but his stomach chose to answer for him by giving off a deep growl. That always seems to be Luffy's problem, said Sanji. Every time something upsets him, he won't eat unless somebody tells him to. I wish he wouldn't do that, honestly, Nami said. That just makes us worry about him more. Yeah, Aika agreed. Sadly, I don't like it when Big Brother gets all sad like that. The memory shifted, once more, and this time, it showed Luffy, past Usopp, and past Zoro outside on the deck. While the swordsman and sniper had on tightly wrapped blankets, Luffy was only wearing his usual outfit while the snow fell gently around them. Hey, Aika said, how come Big Brother never wears a coat? That is a very good question, Aika, Nami answered. You think it has something to do with the fact that he's rubber? Asked Robin. No, I think it has more to do with the fact that he's too stupid to know how cold it is, Zoro said. And yet you would jump into a freezing river, Sanji quipped. I was training, barked Zoro. Why does that not surprise me? Asked Blizzard, incredulously. Zoro, are you sure Luffy's the idiot and not you? Kumi inquired. Watch it, Mutz. Zoro warned. Hey, Zoro, Luffy called up to past Zoro in the crow's nest. You see any doctors yet? Luffy, you can't be serious, past Usopp muttered. Maybe it's me, past Zoro said as he put down a pair of binoculars. Big guy standing on the water, out there. What? Robin asked in confusion. A guy standing on the water? Nami asked. Even I have to admit that's far-fetched. Not too far-fetched, Brook exclaimed. You can actually do that. You know, you just have to keep one foot from sinking before the other. That's what I do. Not everyone has a light body like yours, Brook, said Sanji. Someone standing on the water? Past Usopp asked. That's impossible, Zoro. Then, what's that out there? Asked past Zoro, prompting Luffy and past Usopp to look up and see, to their surprise, that there was actually a man standing on the ocean's surface. He looked like some kind of jester with a zigzagged mouth and had a large bow and a quiver of arrows strapped to his back. Luffy and past Usopp were in such disbelief, they actually rubbed their eyes just to make sure they weren't seeing things. As for Chopper, however, he gasped upon seeing that man before his expression soon grew angry. Chess, he hissed. You wanna play chess, now? Asked a bewildered Aika. Chopper, you know that guy? Asked Blizzard. I sure do, Chopper replied. He's one of his men. His? Kumi asked. Okay, that's a bit vague. Boy, it sure is chilly out today, isn't it? Asked Chess, and after a moment, Luffy and past Usopp both sneezed. Actually, it is pretty chilly, isn't it? Luffy asked. Yeah, it is pretty chilly out here, past Usopp agreed. It is? Asked Chess, which caused Luffy, past Zoro, past Usopp, and Chess himself to gasp. Okay, Frankie said. What was that all about? All of a sudden, the water underneath Chess's feet began to rise, taking everyone by surprise. As the water dispersed, something began to take shape before the group. And it was soon revealed to be an enormous ship with a white hippopotamus wearing a huge crown. And the Jolly Roger also had a crown on its head and what looked like a metallic jaw while licking its lips. Chopper gasped, instantly recognizing the mark before he growled with every hair on his body standing on end before he yelled out a single name. Wapple, Chopper growled as he glared up at Wapol's ship, blinking. The Straw Hats couldn't help but feel just a little unnerved by his sudden anger. Seeing him this enraged was very rare for them, especially since Chopper usually had such a sweet disposition. Then again, the first four members couldn't really blame Chopper for feeling the way he did. After all, this man was responsible for a lot of tragic things in the young reindeer's life. Things that their doctor could never forgive this man for. As for the other members, they couldn't help feeling just a little confused by his demeanor. Ma-ah-ha-ha-ha-ha, laughed a familiar voice. Were you surprised by my giant submersible attack ship, blinking? Holy crap, past Usopp cried. A pirate ship? Whoa, Luffy whispered in surprised. Damn it, past Zoro cursed, we don't have time for this shit. At that moment, past Sanji came outside, asking what was going on. But he froze for some reason. Then, he reached into his pocket, pulled out a box of matches, then lit up a cigarette. So, what's going on? asked past Sanji as he blew out a puff of smoke. We're being attacked, Luffy answered, casually, as he and the others were surrounded by a bunch of men that were pointing rifles at them. I thought that might have been the case, said past Sanji, judging from the looks of things. What in the hell? Frankie questioned. Good heavens, they're all surrounded, Brook cried. Why aren't you guys fighting back? Nami asked. We couldn't risk you getting injured if we started fighting them off, said Zoro. But you found a way out of this, right? Ika asked. Hey, do you mind? Luffy asked as he looked to the gunman in front of him. We're kinda in a hurry here? How can Luffy be so calm? Brook inquired. I guess it's because he knows bullets can't really hurt him, said Robin. Yeah, maybe not him, Usopp started, but what about us? That's when someone appeared on the deck of the ship, munching on a chunk of meat that was skewered on a bejeweled knife. And then he began to eat the knife itself. Just 4 of you? He asked as he munched on the blade with a metallic jaw. There can't be just the 4 of you. Oh, well. Upon seeing him, Chopper growled even more, and it looked like all his fur was standing on end. Chopper, Blizzard spoke up. You know that guy? He was the former king of my homeland, Chopper answered. His name is Wapol, and he's nothing but a dirty coward. A coward how? Asked Kumi. When his father passed away, Chopper began. Wapol took over and made everyone on Drum Island miserable. He exiled the doctors and kept 20 of them for himself, trying to use them to make his subjects come to him if they needed medical help, but they were too poor to do anything. And then, when the Blackbeard pirates attacked my home, he took his doctors and soldiers and fled the island. He then glared angrily at the fat tyrant as tears stung at the corners of his eyes. He also killed my father. He's nothing but S. Oh, Chopper. Blizzard whispered, sadly. Hey, I've got a question for you idiots, said Wapol as he kept eating the knife. Ew, that's gross, Luffy grimaced. What kinda guy likes to eat knives? Gah! Past Usopp gagged. It makes my mouth hurt just watching him. I've seen Zoro bite swords in half before, said Ika. Just because I bit swords in half doesn't mean I like eating them, said Zoro. We want to go to the Drum Kingdom, said Wapol as he ate the last of the knife. Do you fools have an eternal pose or log pose? No, we don't, past Sanji replied, and we never heard of Drum Kingdom, either. Yeah, so if you're done, then get packing, Luffy added. We're in a hurry, here. It's not good to rush through life, boy, said Wapol. If you don't have either, then we'll just have to take your treasure and your ship, instead. What? Luffy questioned. Is he crazy? Past Usopp asked. Is this guy joking? Frankie asked. I'm afraid not, said Chopper. Wapol was always a thief. Just a moment, Wapol said. I'm still a bit hungry. Then, all of a sudden, his jaws expanded and he took a giant bite out of the Mary, to the horror of the Straw Hats, both past and present. Ah! Luffy cried. What the fuck? Past Sanji questioned. What the hell is he doing? Past Usopp shouted with horrified tears in his eyes. He's eating up our ship. Luffy cried. What in the hell? Frankie shouted. What is he doing? How did he do that? Brook asked. Wapol ate the munch fruit, said Chopper. It allows him to eat anything, even inanimate objects, and he can even make them part of his body. Holy crap! Blizzard exclaimed in disbelief. Hey, you! Luffy yelled as he got up from his seat. Stop eating Mary. Freeze! Demanded one of Wapol's men as he pointed his gun at Luffy. No interrupting Captain Wapol's meal. Ah, shut up! Luffy shouted as he punched the man away, which, of course, caused the others to point their guns at him. Why you little? Take aim, one of them yelled as they prepared to shoot. Hey, past Zoro smirked. We should have been doing that from the start. Oh, so we can fight now, huh? Asked past Sanji. Wait a minute. Can't we talk this over? Past Usopp cried as he tried to hide behind the mast. Soon, the brawl had begun. Wapol's men were certainly shocked when they saw Luffy bounce the bullets back at them with his rubber powers, while past Zoro and past Sanji easily dispatched the lesser mooks. In fact, they even tried to make a contest of it to see who could take out more. All the while, though, Wapol continued to eat on the Mary's port side, and that's when Luffy decided he had enough and attempted to fight back. However, as he did, Wapol opened his mouth and actually chomped on Luffy whole. Ah! Ika shrieked. Big brother got eaten. Hey, let me outta here. Tin breath. Luffy yelled as Wapol kept chewing on him. I said let me out. He then stretched his arms, which were outside of Wapol's mouth, way back. Goom. Goom. Bazooka, Wabomb. He then sent Wapol flying with both barrels, and the memory soon faded to black. Well, I'm glad Luffy took care of him, said Chopper, at least for the time being. I didn't know Wapol attacked you guys on the way to Drum. No wonder you guys had such a grudge against him when we fought him at the castle. Especially after what he did to poor Mary. Yeah, what did that little ship ever do? Frankie asked. Absolutely nothing, said past Usopp. Seriously, I hated seeing that part, again. Trust me, Usopp, said Sanji. I'm sure most of us do. Poor little lamb, Brook said in concern. After a moment, the memory returned. It was nighttime, now, and Wapol's men had been chased off. Past Usopp, past Zoro, Vivi, and Karoo were all in past Nami's room, sleeping. Except for Luffy, who was leaning against past Nami's bed. He stared at her, sadly, as she moaned in a fitful sleep. Luffy looked at her hand before he slowly raised up his own. Then gently took her fingers in his, which caused the present-day Nami to hold her own fingers. Even her hands feel warm. Too warm. Luffy looked at past Nami before he got up and picked up the cloth from her forehead, then he dipped it in the water basin, wrung the cloth of any extra water, then put it back on past Nami's forehead, which caused her to weakly open her eyes. Luffy. Past Nami asked. Go back to sleep, Nami, Luffy whispered. You need to rest. He then smiled at her. Don't worry. We'll find you a doctor and you'll be all better, soon, and then we'll take Vivi home. Luffy. Thank you, past Nami said. She, Luffy laughed. Thank the others for me, too, past Nami added. Sure I will, Luffy replied. Now go back to sleep, okay? Past Nami sighed as she fell asleep while Luffy pulled the sheets up to her shoulders. He then put his fingers on her wrist and waited for a few seconds before he nodded his head, then sat down next to past Nami as she slept. Ah, big brother was D. Yeah, he was really worried, said Nami. I feel terrible, though, for putting him through this. I feel terrible for putting everyone through this. You're all better now, said Zoro. That's what matters. Yes, Robin nodded. We should be grateful for that. You're right, Nami smiled. It was a close call, but I made it. The memory shifted, and Luffy was once again in past Nami's room, sitting in front of her bed while the others were outside, possibly making repairs to the ship and keeping a lookout for any islands. Come on, Nami, can't you smile for me? Luffy asked. Come on, just one tiny smile. He's still trying to make her laugh? Asked Usopp. Well, you gotta give him points for effort, said Frankie. At that moment, past Zoro came walking in. Hey, Luffy, what's going on? He asked, causing Luffy to turn to him. Only, for some reason, he was wearing ridiculous makeup on his face, had cat eyes drawn over his eyelids, fake eyelashes, and the kanji for meat on his forehead while he stretched his mouth wide and had his tongue dangling out. Ah! Past Zoro screamed as he fell backward. Quit it, you're freaking me out. PFF'd. Nami snickered as she covered her mouth. What are you laughing about? Zoro asked with a sneer. You don't really think that's funny, do you? I'm not laughing about that, Nami answered. I'm laughing at your reaction. She then burst into a guffaw, and it didn't take long for Usopp, Sanji, Chopper, Frankie, Blizzard, Brook, Aika, and Kumi to join her. Zoro's reaction was pretty funny, Chopper exclaimed. He sure got you good, Blizzard added. I've never seen Mosshead look so scared in all my life, Sanji squawked. Ahahahahaha. After a while, Luffy had washed his face off of the makeup and was back to keeping an eye on past Nami again. He had his chin propped up on his palm and his elbow on his left knee while he looked at the sleeping navigator with an expression of boredom. His eyelids drooped heavily as his head began to sag, but then he quickly straightened up and shook himself awake. You know, Chopper began, if I didn't know better, I'd say Luffy hasn't been sleeping much. I guess he was too worried about Nami to sleep, Kumi said. Luffy, past Zoro spoke up, causing Luffy to jerk his head toward his direction. Why don't you go and rest, for a while? I can watch Nami for you. No thanks, Zoro, Luffy said. I'm good. Luffy, You really should rest, said past Zoro. Seriously, when did you have any sleep, last time? I guess I didn't sleep very much, last night, said Luffy. You're worried, I get it, said past Zoro. So are the rest of us. Luffy only sat there, staring at past Nami's sleeping form. So, past Zoro began, when do you think you'll tell her? Tell her what? Luffy asked. You know what I mean, past Zoro answered. Are you ever gonna tell her about how you feel about her? I dunno, Luffy replied. I guess when she's all better, maybe. Oh, Luffy, Nami whispered, worriedly. I can't believe you didn't hear them, Usopp said. They're practically right next to you. I guess I was in too deep a sleep to hear them, said Nami. Hey, guys, past Sanji called out. There's an island dead ahead. What? An island? Luffy asked, excitedly before he looked at past Nami, excitedly bouncing his knee. Did you hear that, Nami? We found an island with a doctor on it. Isn't that great? He then kept fidgeting in his chair, which caused past Zoro to sigh. Just go and look, he said, and Luffy soon grabbed his sandals and hurried outside, where he sat on the figurehead of the ship, and that's when he saw an island in the distance with cylinder-shaped mountains, which caused Chopper to gasp. It's Drum Island, he whispered, it's home. The Straw Hats all smiled at their doctor, knowing he was joyful at seeing his homeland again, even if it was just a memory. Wow. It's been so long. Chopper whispered. I almost forgot that that's how the island used to look like. I wonder how Doctorine and Dalton are. I bet they think of you, sometimes, said Nami. Maybe we'll go and visit them, one day. Yeah, Chopper agreed, even though I know the first thing Doctorine is gonna do is throw axes at me for not talking to her for a while. Wait, what? Kumi asked in surprise. Why would she do that? Asked Aika. Don't ask, Chopper answered. It's just how she is. Whoa, Luffy exclaimed. It's an island. Look at it, it's so white, like snow, it's a snowy island. Now wait a minute. Luffy, past Sanji called. Remember, we're not here for an adventure. This time, we gotta find a doctor for Nami, and then we're leaving. She. Luffy laughed. It's a snowy island, I can't wait. Past Sanji groaned. It's no good, he's not listening. Hey, hold on, past Usopp said, nervously. Are you sure it's safe? If there's snow on this island, doesn't that mean there's a snow monster here or something? And for all we know, there might not even be people living here. He then gasped as he clutched at his chest. Oh, no. I can't go on to this island, illness is acting up. Snow, Luffy sang. Snow's so nice and white. Luffy sure does like the snow, doesn't he? Asked Brook. Who doesn't? Aika asked. I love the snow, yeah, me too, Kumi agreed with a wagging tail. Soon, the past Straw Hats were sailing inland on a river, where the mountains were in clear view, this time. Oh, wow. Luffy gasped with teary eyes. I'm so happy, look at the snow. Hey, Luffy, said past Usopp. Aren't you cold, dressed up with just your vest, shorts, and sandals? Yes, it's only 14 degrees out here, said Vivi. That's usually when bears get ready to hibernate for the winter. Luffy muttered, inquisitively. But then he suddenly gasped and hugged himself for warmth. Gah, it's freezing out here. You just now figured it out? Past Sanji and past Usopp yelled. I worry about him, Chopper said, I really do. He's such an idiot, Zoro muttered. Luffy, go inside and put on your coat, okay? Asked Vivi. Right. Luffy answered before he hurried to go get his red coat, then hurried back to join the others. All right, said past Zoro. Who's gonna go out and look for a doctor? I'm guessing we should try and find any settlements out here. I'll go, Luffy exclaimed. Me, too, past Sanji added. Fine, you guys go, past Usopp said, standing way in the back. Stop right there, pirates. The Straw Hats, both past and present, looked up, see a large number of people gathered at the bank. Oh, hey, look, Luffy said. People? Maybe they're locals. Yeah, but they don't look friendly, past Usopp said, worriedly. Among the people was a tall, muscular man with a square chin and goatee, as well as squinted eyes. He had this serious expression on his face and a bit of a foreboding aura about him. Chopper gasped before he beamed brightly, immediately recognizing the man. It's Dalton, he exclaimed. He a friend of yours? Asked Blizzard. Well, kind of, Chopper replied. I didn't speak to him, very much, but I know he's very nice. He was one of the few people who ever respected my father. Even though he used to be the captain of Waipal's royal guard. He was never a bad person, though. I see, Aika smiled. I wonder what he's doing, now. I heard that he's the one ruling the country, now, said Chopper. I bet everybody back at home is happy about that. They don't seem very happy here, Brooke said as he looked at Dalton and the townspeople in the memory. In fact, they looked downright miffed. Oh, yeah, Chopper realized. I guess this is after Blackbeard caused problems. I remember how everybody tried to shoot at every pirate that came to the island. Well, in that case, I can't really blame him, Frankie said. Hey, listen. Luffy called. We came here to look for a doctor, are there any here? Please. We have a sick person on board, Vivi added. Your dirty tricks on us. You low-life pirate-s bags? Questioned one of the townsfolk. This is our country. We won't let any pirate set foot here. Yeah, now raise your anchor and get out, shouted another. Or else we'll blast your ship from the water. Sheesh, they already hate us and we only just met, past Sanji muttered. Shut up, yelled one of the townsfolk as he shot at the cook, who let out a startled yelp as he dodged. Get out, now. Ah, crap, they're firing at us, cried past Usopp. Why you? Past Sanji growled as he glared up at them, preparing to fight back. Sanji, no, Vivi cried as she held him back. Stop, don't be rash. Kabang! Vivi grunted as she felt a bullet hit her shoulder, to past Sanji's horror. Vivi, no, he cried as he caught her in his arms. Vivi, are you all right? Say something. Vivi, Luffy yelled before he glared at the townsfolk. You bastards. They've done it, now, Frankie exclaimed. Oh, no, Nami bemoaned. Get ready, shouted one of the townspeople as he and several others pointed their firearms at the past Straw Hats. But just when Luffy was about to charge, Vivi grabbed him. Luffy, stop, she shouted. Don't fight them, don't worry about me, it's just a flesh wound. I'll live, okay? She then turned to the townsfolk. All right. We'll go. But please, can you at least send us a doctor? Our navigator is very ill. Please. You must help us. She then dropped to her hands and knees and bowed her head against the deck, to Luffy's surprise. Vivi, what are you? Luffy started. Luffy, you're a failure as a captain, Vivi said, harshly, without even lifting her head up, causing Luffy to gasp silently. Acting on impulse like that won't solve anything. That was harsh, Frankie said. I mean, they did attack first. But she's right, Sanji replied. And I'm not just saying this because I love her. If Luffy did try and attack them, he'd only prove to them that we're just like every other bloodthirsty cutthroat in the world. But Vivi, Luffy stammered. Luffy. Think about Nami, Vivi whispered. If you get us all killed, what will happen to her? It was clear that Vivi's earlier words had stunned Luffy. But then, he began to think about past Nami, who was still lying in her bed, panting feverishly. He bit his lip as he glanced down at Vivi, whose shoulder was still bleeding from the gunshot wound. You're right, Luffy said before he looked up at the townsfolk. Please forgive me, I was wrong. He then got down on his hands and knees and bowed his head, as well. Please. Call a doctor. Our friend really needs help. The townsfolk only stared at the past Straw Hats in disbelief, while the present-day Straw Hats smiled. You know, Blizzard began. I think this is actually the first time Luffy's actually humbled himself before someone. I mean, I've seen him do it before, but now I know where it started. Humility is something we should all learn, Robin said, to a certain extent, at least. Boy, don't I know it? Usopp asked. What do you mean, Usopp? Ika asked. You'll see later on, Usopp answered. All right, Dalton sighed. We'll take you to our village, follow me. Thank you, Luffy said. See? Vivi smiled, he understands. Yeah, you're really smart, Vivi, Luffy replied. But I should warn you, Dalton began. There's only one doctor in this country, and she's a witch. A witch? Ika questioned. You mean she rides a broom and flies through the air? She's not really a witch, Ika, said Chopper. Although, I can see why people would say that about her. She's not really a friendly person. Tell me about it, Sanji and Nami added with shivers going down their spines. The memory shifted, and the group was now inside Dalton's house. Luffy and past Usopp were drinking some tea to warm themselves up after making snowmen and snow creatures outside. Past Nami was lying in Dalton's bed. But she looked even worse than she did before. Her whole face was red with fever and she looked like she was struggling to even breathe. "Wow, I looked really bad, didn't I?" asked Nami. "You had just reached the 3-day stage of the 5-day sickness," Chopper said. "If you hadn't gotten to Drum Island in time, well, you know." "I don't even want to think about it," said Aika, worriedly. "Same here." Kumi squeaked. "Those mountains out there," said Dalton as he pointed toward the mountains beyond the village, "are known as the Drum Rockies. Do you see the castle on the highest peak? Right now, that is a castle without a king." "Yeah, I can see it," said past Sanji. "What about them?" asked Vivi. "The only doctor in this country, Dr. Kureha, whom the people call the witch, lives there," Dalton answered. "What?" the past Straw Hats questioned in shock. "You're kidding," Frankie exclaimed. "She lives way up there?" "Correction," Chopper said. "She and I lived way up there." "Why in the hell would anyone live way up there?" asked past Sanji. "Aw, it doesn't matter. Just call her down here. This is an emergency." "If I could, I would," said Dalton, "but we don't have any way of contacting her." "What?" past Sanji questioned. "You gotta be kidding me. And she calls herself a doctor. What kind of woman is she?" "Her skills as a doctor are indisputable, yes," Dalton affirmed, "but she's rather eccentric, not to mention she's nearly 140 years old." 140? Past Sanji squawked. "And she's still alive?" "I've never seen a human live that long," Kumi exclaimed. "Well, okay, I'm only like a few months old, but still. I still don't know how she can live that long," said Chopper, "and I've known her pretty much all my life." "Someone that old would probably be Bones by then," Brooke added. "Yo-ho-ho-ho-ho." Dalton asked Vivi. "What do the people here do when they get sick or injured?" "She comes down the mountain whenever she pleases," said Dalton, "then goes looking for patients, treats them, takes whatever she wants as compensation, and then goes back up to the castle." "Yeesh," past Usopp grimaced. "Sounds like a nasty old bird." "Yeah, she sounds like a pirate," Luffy added. "She sure sounds scary to me," Aika said. "I know she can come off as off-putting," said Chopper, "but trust me, even though she doesn't look or act like it, she's really very nice, she just doesn't show it much." "It may sound strange," Dalton continued, "but I've heard that on moonlit nights, she rides a sleigh through the sky and comes down the mountain. Some people even claim to have seen her. That's why she's called a witch." "Well, she certainly doesn't sound like Santa Claus," Blizzard muttered. "It sure gets to be a hassle, pulling that sleigh behind me," Chopper added. "Sometimes my back would hurt." "Others say she comes with a strange creature, the likes of which no one has ever seen before," said Dalton. "Ah!" past Usopp screamed. "I knew it, I just knew it, it must be the abominable snowman. We are on a snowy island, after all. A witch combined with a snow monster? I can't stand the thought of seeing them." "Were you really that scared of me?" Chopper asked. "That was before I got to know you, Chopper," Usopp rebuked. "You know that." "I know," Chopper smiled. "I'm just kidding. Phew." Usopp sighed in relief. "She's the country's only doctor," Dalton said, "but we don't really like to get involved with her if we can help it. It's best to just wait here until she comes down the mountain." But we can't," Vivi cried. "Forgive me for saying this," past Sanji started, "but one doctor for an entire country? It just doesn't make sense, don't you think?" Just then, Luffy went up to past Nami and began to gently pat her face. "Hey, Nami," he called. "Nami, wake up. What the hell do you think you're doing?" Past Usopp, past Sanji, and Vivi yelled. Past Nami groaned as she opened her eyes. Luffy. "Oh, good, you're awake," Luffy said. "Listen, the only doctor on this island lives on the top of a mountain, so we're gonna CL you, okay?" "Wait a minute, Luffy," past Sanji shouted. "Have you lost your cotton-picking mind? What are you trying to do, kill Nami?" "It's fine," Luffy said. "I'll just carry her on my back." "That'll only worsen her condition," Vivi cried. "The sooner she gets to a doctor, the better, right?" Luffy asked. "Well, yes," Vivi replied, "but Luffy, just look at how tall and steep the peak is, it's impossible to climb." "I'll make it," Luffy retorted. "But Luffy, it's gonna be way too much on Nami, past Usopp argued. Usopp's right, Vivi added. A fall from a mountain that tall could kill even a healthy person. So what? Luffy asked. There's snow under us, we'll have a soft landing. That's not really how snow works, Chopper muttered. Seriously, what is he thinking? Frankie asked. Luffy, you can't be serious about this, past Usopp shouted. Her temperature is 9 degrees higher than it should be, don't you realize that? Guys, past Nami called, getting everyone's attention. Nami? Vivi asked, worriedly. Nami, are you alright? Sanji asked. Hey, past Nami smiled, weakly, as she raised her hand up. I'm counting on you, Captain. A pause. But then Luffy grinned. You got it, he said as he slapped past Nami's hand. Just leave it to me. Don't worry, Nami. I won't let you die, not now or ever. And with that, the memory faded to black. Achoo. Cover glanced down at Luffy, who sniffled a bit as snot dribbled from his nose. Bless me, he muttered. I guess my friends are talking about me. Cover narrowed his eyes, annoyed, but then he smirked. How did it feel, Straw Hat? Asked the dragon. When Princess Vivi called you a failure as a captain. Look, leave Vivi out of this. Okay. Luffy barked. She was right. Acting rash wasn't gonna get Nami the help that she needed. But those words still stuck with you, didn't they? Asked Cover. And I think deep down, you actually agree with that sentiment. I'm not a failure, Luffy whispered. So you say, Cover said. Deny it all you wish, but you know in your heart that this is true. And your crew knows it, too. Shut up, Luffy yelled. You don't know me or my friends, they know that I'm not a failure. Only because you hid things from them, Cover countered, causing Luffy to growl. No matter. I wonder how much more your crew will take before they decide to give up on you. They won't, Luffy said, although he sounded a bit unsure, himself. Don't count them out, just yet. Hem. Cover chuckled. Honestly, I'm expecting them to last. The more souls, the better, I always say. Luffy growled at the dragon, who chuckled darkly. XXX concurrently, the Straw Hats were watching as Luffy and past Sanji were getting ready to head out to the Drum Rockies with Vivi tying past Nami to Luffy's back. Hold still, Luffy, Vivi said. This has to be nice and tight. Gotcha, Luffy replied. There, that should do, said Vivi as she finished tying the knot around Luffy's waist. I'll be waiting here. I'd only be a burden if I went along. I'm staying, too, past Usopp added. Got it, Luffy answered. Okay, Nami, hang on tight. Past Nami murmured, weakly. Man, Nami looks bad, doesn't she? Frankie asked. Yeah, she was getting closer and closer to death by the second, Chopper said. It's a good thing Luffy decided to come to the castle, as risky as it was. Doctorine and I happened to be around that day, but we didn't know you guys were there. We were visiting a patient in another part of the village. But I just wish we had caught you, sooner. There was no way you could have known about us by then, said Nami, so it's okay. If you guys are serious about this, said Dalton, then I won't stop you. But you should at least start the climb from the other side of the mountain. There are Lapons on this side. They're vicious, flesh-eating rabbits. If you encounter a pack of them, it means certain death. Rabbits? Luffy repeated before looked up to past Sanji. We're in a hurry, so we can handle them, right? Yeah, past Sanji answered. I'll just kick him away. Did you really think it would be that easy? Chopper asked. For the record, Sanji started, we didn't know how big they'd be, okay. What do you mean, big? Asked Aika. Bunnies are tiny and cute, aren't they? Not these, Aika, Chopper said. Lapons are huge, carnivorous rabbits that are as big as grizzly bears. Grizzly bears? Aika and Kumi repeated before they imagined a rabbit. Only about 10 times as big with fangs and sharp claws, causing them to look at each other worriedly. All right, Luffy exclaimed before he and past Sanji began to run. Let's go, Sanji, before Nami dies. Don't say it like that, past Sanji yelled. It's bad luck, you idiot. Seriously, Usopp muttered. Why'd he have to put it that way? You know Luffy, Sanji said. He doesn't take these things seriously. Or maybe he's just trying to lighten the mood, Robin pointed out. Just a theory. I guess that's just Luffy's way of coping with bad situations, Nami shrugged. Trying to make a joke out of everything. I guess that would make sense, Chopper said. Luffy tries to make it seem like he's not worried about things too much. But that's only when he's around us. Yeah, but when he's alone, like with Vivi, Usopp began. He actually gets all reclusive and even starts crying. It kinda makes you wonder if that smile he makes is just a big fake, Blizzard said. Big brother. Aika whispered, worriedly. The memory shifted to Luffy and past Sanji, still running through the frozen tundra while the former was still carrying past Nami. The navigator let out small, labored breaths, but she was doing a pretty good job, hanging on to Luffy's neck so tightly, despite her weakened state. As the duo ran, the wind began to blow stronger, throwing snow almost everywhere. Whoa, Luffy said. It's getting a little chillier, now, and the wind's picking up, too. As Luffy ran, the Straw Hats noticed his knees and toes beginning to turn red from the cold, and that was enough to have some of them shivering. Geez, how can Luffy run in the freezing cold with just a coat, a pair of shorts and sandals on? Asked Usopp as he hugged himself. I think I'm getting frostbite, just watching him. Yeah, and my metal parts would lock up in that kind of weather, Frankie added. How can he not realize how cold it is? Asked Brook. It must be because of his rubber skin, said Chopper. It acts as an insulator, but it doesn't help him much in hot weather. Oh, yeah, Zoro grumbled. I remember he drove himself half mad in Alabasta while we were hiking through the desert. Now that I think about it, Blizzard began. Back in Impelled Down and on Punk Hazard, Luffy's skin kinda looked like it was melting from the extreme heat. At first, I thought he was just sweating a lot. Yeah, and sometimes Big Brother smells like he's melting, too, Aika added. Luffy, can't you at least put on some damn socks? Past Sanji asked. Seriously, it hurts just looking at you. No way. Luffy answered. This is my police. Your police? Asked past Sanji. I think you mean policy. Yeah, that too. Luffy replied, but as they were running, the current Straw Hats noticed some sort of shadow lurking behind them. What's that? Kumi asked, worriedly. Oh, Sanji muttered in realization. I remember this part. What do you mean, Sanji? Chopper asked. Hey, Sanji, Luffy said to the cook's past counterpart. Did you know that people who live in snowy countries like this one don't sleep at night? They don't? Asked past Sanji. Why? Because if they do, they die, Luffy answered. What? Past Sanji asked. Who told you that bunch of nonsense, Usopp? No, someone in my village told me at Makino's tavern, Luffy said. Probably some drunk idiot, Nami murmured. Actually, Luffy is only half right, Robin said. People in snowy countries don't sleep outside in these frigid conditions unless they have something to keep them warm. If they didn't, then they'd freeze to death in their sleep. What a horrible way to go, Brook muttered with dread. As Luffy and past Sanji were talking, something blitzed out from behind the trees, and Chopper instantly recognized what it was. A Lapon, he cried. But, it looks small, Aika said. Chopper, I thought you said Lapons were big. They are big, Aika, Sanji replied for Chopper. That one's just a baby. And babies are vicious enough by themselves. Chopper squeaked, although past Sanji easily jumped over the infant Lapon as it pounced on them. If that's true, past Sanji began, then why does Dalton have a bat in his house? Oh, yeah, Luffy realized as he and the cook ducked down to dodge the baby Lapon as it tried to pounce once more. Only to bite right through a tree trunk. That must be his deathbed or something. You're such a moron, past Sanji yelled. What the hell? Frankie questioned as he gaped at the baby Lapon. And I thought I had a strong bite, Blizzard exclaimed. Why was he being so aggressive? Asked Kumi. It's what Lapons do, Chopper answered. They're very territorial, in fact, they've been known to eat humans. Oh, geez. Usopp squeaked. I'm glad I didn't go. I can't believe I don't remember any of this, Nami added. Then again, I was pretty out of it. Hey, Luffy, did you know that the women in these kinds of countries have smooth, silky skin? They do? Luffy asked. Why, it's obvious, isn't it? Asked past Sanji while the baby Lapon persisted in trying to attack the two pirates, who continued to dodge it, unbothered in the least. When it's cold, you rub on your skin with your bare hands, right? And that makes it soft and smooth. It's like the women practically blend into the snow. Huh. I wonder how it gets so white, Luffy said as he kept carrying past Nami. while briefly imagining her with silky, white skin that the cook had described, but not without dodging the baby Lapon, again. Duh, said past Sanji. The color of the snow gets absorbed into the skin, of course. Wow, Luffy muttered. And you say I'm a moron. What was that? Past Sanji questioned. Sanji, Nami asked with a very irritated expression. Where did you hear that load of crap? Patty from the Bharati told me. Sanji muttered, completely and utterly embarrassed. PFF'd. Zoro buzzed his lips, prompting Sanji to grab him by the collar of his shirt. Got something to say to me, jackass? Sanji questioned. At that moment, the baby Lapon lunged at past Sanji, who growled in annoyance before he kicked it away. You're starting to piss me off, you little bastard, he roared. What was that thing, anyway? Asked Luffy. No, Chopper cried. What have you done? Are you out of your mind, Sanji? What's the big deal? Asked Zoro. It's just a little rabbit. You don't understand, Chopper shouted. Lapons are very protective of their young. How protective? Kumi asked. So protective, they'll kill whatever attacked their babies, Chopper answered. Sanji, Nami asked. I think you should know that I'm very angry. I know, Sanji bemoaned. As the memory continued, Luffy and past Sanji found themselves walking in deeper snow. Well, more like trudging, really, since it was up to their knees. Hang on a little longer, okay, Nami? Luffy asked. We'll get you to a doctor soon, whoa. He stumbled a bit in the deep snow. Ugh. The snow's getting a little harder to walk in, here. Plus it's getting windier. Luffy, try walking a little more lightly, past Sanji told him. You're jostling Nami like that, be gentle. Ugh. Luffy groaned. Luffy, do this, Luffy, do that. Dude, I'm trying, okay? Yeah, Sanji, cut him some slack, Frankie said. Okay, to be fair, Sanji began. I was pretty worried about Nami. I just took things a bit too far, alright? Oh. Chopper squeaked as he saw something that made him freeze. Huh? Luffy and past Sanji muttered as they spotted a large number of rabbits that were indeed the size of grizzly bears, and one of them had a large scar going down its left eye. Clinging to that one Lapon was the infant that past Sanji had kicked away, glaring at the duo. Those are Lapons, aren't they? Asked Aika, nervously. Yeah, Chopper nodded. What the hell are those things? Asked past Sanji. Are those gorillas? They're big and white and furry, said Luffy. I'd say they're polar bears. That's when the baby Lapon began to squeak and bark while pointing its tiny paw at the two pirates. What did it say? Brook asked. He said, that's him, Mama. Chopper translated. That's the mean human who kicked me. Wait. The one with the scar was a female? Asked Sanji in surprise. Of course that's a female, Chopper replied, but then, the mother Lapon growled viciously before she jumped into the air with a loud roar. Whoa, it's flying, past Sanji yelled, watch out. Yikes, Luffy cried as he and past Sanji dodged the mother's sharp claws. Damn, that thing's fast, Frankie exclaimed. Lapons are as fast as regular rabbits, Chopper pointed out. It's useless to try and outrun them. Holy crap, did you see that? Asked past Sanji. What is that thing, some kind of gorilla? No, it's a polar bear, Luffy argued. It's a rabbit, dummy, past Sanji yelled. How did you go from gorilla to rabbit? Luffy asked. So those must be those Lapon things that Dalton warned us about it, past Sanji replied. And there's a whole lot of them, too. Those things must be pretty adapted to this snowy terrain if they can move around that fast. We're at a big disadvantage here. Who cares? Luffy asked as he marched forward. Let's just fight him. No, Luffy, stop, past Sanji shouted. Whatever you do, don't fight. Huh? Luffy questioned. Why not? If you fight these things, past Sanji began. Any and every blow you give or take will be felt by Nami. If you rough her up too much in her current condition, she's dead meat for sure. Grar. The Lapons roared as they lunged at the two, which caused Luffy to gulp nervously. Why yeah, I got it, Luffy said. I won't fight, oh, my god, Nami whispered. That's right, Chopper exclaimed. Nami was in such bad condition that if she took any damage in her current state, it would kill her. Luffy didn't realize the threat, right away, said Sanji, which is why I had to fight in his place. Whoa, Luffy cried as he ducked down to dodge a swipe from a Lapon's claws. But what am I supposed to do? Just dodge, past Sanji answered as he dodged, as well. Dodge them and run, and whatever you do, don't fight. That's gonna be pretty hard, you know, Luffy yelled while past Sanji kicked one of the Lapons away. I kinda have to agree with Luffy, there, said Usopp. If Nami wasn't strapped to his back like that, he'd fight those things off, easily. Maybe, said Chopper, worriedly. Crap, past Sanji cursed. I can't even do a decent kick with all this snow around my legs. Figures, Zoro quipped. You can't even handle a few bunny rabbits, can you, Cook? Ah, shut up, Sanji barked. You try fighting in deep snow if you think it's that easy. In fact, you can freeze to death for all I care. The Lapons looked to their fallen packmate, then all turned and glared at past Sanji and Luffy, who gulped before they all charged at the duo. Shit, past Sanji cursed. They're all coming at once, now, quick, Luffy. Make a break for the woods and I'll cover you. Right, Luffy cried as they began to run from the Lapons, who gave chase after them, and were keeping up fairly well, too. Crap, they're fast, Blizzard cursed. Even if I was there and was able to carry Luffy, I couldn't outrun them if I tried. I told you, Chopper said, Lapons are really fast for their size. You weren't kidding, Kumi cried. Damn it, we can't shake these guys, past Sanji yelled. It'd be dark before I could beat up so many. Damn it, Luffy cursed as he kept running as fast as he could. However, one of the Lapons attempted to blindside him, and of course, Luffy's first instinct was to try and use his gum whip on it, but then Sanji grabbed his ankle before he could. Stop, past Sanji shouted while past Nami grunted, trying to hold onto Luffy before the cook kicked the Lapon away. You idiot, what did I just say? Let me handle them. Sorry, I forgot, Luffy cried. Everything just goes right over your head, doesn't it? Past Sanji questioned as he kicked another Lapon in the stomach while Luffy happened to notice a path up ahead. Hey, Sanji. Look up there, Luffy exclaimed. We can go up that way. You go on ahead, past Sanji answered as he kicked another Lapon. Back off. Soon, the two ran all the way up to the top, and Luffy even used one of the Lapons as leverage to get to the top, but still, the Lapons pursued them. Those things sure are damn persistent, said Frankie. Lapons aren't just territorial and protective of their young, said Chopper. They don't like it when even one of their grown members are attacked. Huh, Ika muttered. They kinda sound like us. What? Usopp questioned. How are they like us? You know how Big Brother gets mad whenever one of us gets hurt? Asked Ika. That's how the rabbits are acting. So it seems, Robin smiled in amusement. I never really thawed Sanji while his past self and Luffy kept running. As Luffy looked back, however, he noticed that the Lapons were gone. Hey, Sanji, he called. Look, I think we lost them. About damn time. Past Sanji exclaimed before he looked ahead, only to yelp as he braked to a stop, along with Luffy, for up ahead of them were the Lapons. And for some reason, they were jumping up and down on the snow. Guess I spoke too soon, Luffy said. What are they doing, anyway? I thought they gave up, by now. Apparently not, said past Sanji as he squinted. What the hell are those things up to? He then trailed off before his eye went wide in horror and his cigarette fell from his mouth. Oh, shit, don't tell me. Oh, no. Chopper whispered in horror. What's wrong? Nami asked. Chopper, do you know what they're doing? Those Lapons sure were desperate. This time, Chopper cried. What are you talking about? Brook asked, but he soon got his answer when the ground began to rumble. Huh, Luffy muttered as he looked down at his stomach. I must be getting really hungry if my tummy's rumbling that loud. That's not your stomach, you idiot, past Sanji yelled as he looked at the Lapons with a tear forming in his eyes. Shit. Those dumb bunnies, they've really done it, now. What's wrong, Sanji? Luffy asked, seeming unconcerned at all. Luffy, we gotta get the hell out of Dodge, Sanji shouted. We're running, again? Luffy asked in exasperation. Where? Anywhere, as long as it's not here, cried past Sanji. What's happening? Ika asked, worriedly. When Lapons get angry enough, Chopper began, they start an avalanche. Past Sanji screamed as a roaring tidal wave of snow came roaring toward them. Kyaa, Ika shrieked. Oh, no. Holy crap. Usopp cried. So that's what caused that avalanche. And you guys were right at the front of that, shouted Frankie. I wondered what that shaking was, earlier, Chopper added. Good heavens. Here it comes, Brook yelled. Soon, Luffy and past Sanji were running away from the avalanche while past Nami still remained passed out on Luffy's back. Damn those rabbits. Past Sanji yelled. I'll fillet them for this. Sanji, what are we gonna do? Luffy asked while he tried to keep past Nami on his back. How the hell would I know? Past Sanji questioned. Most importantly, Luffy, Nami takes first priority, second priority, third priority, fourth priority, and fifth priority. Got it? So you better protect her with your life. Hey, come on, Luffy yelled. Don't lay any of that sexist shit on me. The Straw Hat's eyes went wide at that while Zoro smirked. Well, this should be interesting, said the swordsman. Don't you dare say whose life takes more priority, Luffy yelled. You have no right to say any of that, got me? Luffy. Past Sanji whispered in shock, but then he shook his head. Wait, we don't have time for this. Now this is refreshing, Zoro said. Never thought I'd see the day where Luffy calls you out on your crap, pervy cook. Oh, sure, laugh it up, Sanji barked. This isn't how I am, anymore, you know, at least. Not most of the time, anyway. I think Luffy only got mad, though, Robin began, because he felt that your life took priority as well, Sanji. I guess I wasn't thinking of that at the time, said Sanji. Luffy, up there, past Sanji cried, getting the captain's attention as he pointed up at a nearby ledge. Quick, get on that ledge. Hurry. Climb to the highest point you can get. Oh, right. Luffy exclaimed as he ran to get up on the ledge, too. Look out. Past Sanji shouted as he pointed at the huge wave of snow that buried trees and rocks in its wake. Here it comes. Whoa, Luffy yelped before he and past Sanji jumped onto the ledge. Yay, you made it, Ika cheered. All right, exclaimed Kumi. Hold it, Sanji said. It's not over yet. Huh? The girls muttered in confusion. What do you mean by that? Asked Blizzard. Phew. Past Sanji sighed as he and Luffy looked up. We made it, just in T. Unfortunately, he spoke too soon when saw more snow headed right for them. Shit. We're not up high enough, Luffy, quick, jump. Right. Luffy replied before he jumped up high into the air. However, past Sanji wasn't fast enough and ended up getting carried off by the avalanche. Oh, no, Sanji, Luffy cried. Whoa, past Sanji screamed. That can't be good, Chopper cried. How do you guys get out of that one? Asked Frankie. Damn it, now what do I do? Luffy asked, worriedly, before he spotted a fallen tree that was sliding down the mountain. Wait, that's it. That's when he landed on the tree, like it was some kind of snowboard, then stretched his arm out to grab past Sanji's hand. Sanji, grab on. What the? Past Sanji questioned before Luffy pulled him onto the tree. Ha 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 ha. Luffy laughed, triumphantly. We're not gonna buried alive, after all. Yeah, but now we're going back down the mountain, past Sanji yelled. Gah! Luffy cried in shock. You're right, damn it. We were almost there, past Sanji cured. A little farther, and we would have reached the doctor by now. We've gotta find a way to stop, damn those stupid rabbits. Next time I see them, I'll skin them alive and boil their insides. Sanji? Luffy asked, nervously. What? Past Sanji questioned. Look, Luffy squeaked as he pointed behind the cook, who turned, only to gasp upon seeing the Lapons. Riding on tree trunks like they were snowboards, too. Are you kidding me? Past Sanji questioned. They can snowboard, too? Brook asked. Yeah, Chopper said. In fact, snowboarding is the Lapans' favorite pastime. Suddenly, I'm very afraid on a number of levels, said Nami. Soon, Luffy and past Sanji found themselves trying to dodge the Lapons, again, with the latter wondering why they were so angry. As they kept sliding down and dodging swipes from claws and vicious bites, past Sanji turned just in time to see that they were headed for some sharp rocks. Luffy, incoming, past Sanji yelled, causing Luffy to look back. Oh, crap. Luffy cursed. A rock, we're gonna crash. We can't, past Sanji cried. If you hit those rocks with Nami on your back, you're both gonna die. Then what do we do? Luffy asked. Before past Sanji grabbed him by the collar of his coat. Sanji. Go, past Sanji said before he threw Luffy off the tree. Luffy cried. Sanji, what are you doing? A lady needs a gentle touch, past Sanji with his usual debonair attitude. Until his back hit the rocks, and Luffy heard a sickening crack that followed. Sanji actually cringed at that, remembering the almost numbing pain that getting hit in the spine had brought. Sanji, no, Luffy cried in horror. What the hell? Frankie questioned. Dude, are you crazy? I actually felt that, Brook began, and that wasn't even me. So that's how your spine got messed up, Chopper questioned. What is wrong with you, Sanji? I expected better from you? I didn't have a choice, Sanji argued. Luffy was just standing there, and if he didn't move, Nami was gonna get hit instead. Do you know what could have happened to you? Chopper asked, angrily. You could have lost the use of your legs, or worse, you could have died. I'm sorry, Sanji apologized. I'm alright, now, though. I knew you got injured somehow, Nami spoke, but I didn't realize you got hurt because of me. Now don't be so hard on yourself, Nami, Sanji said. I'm fine, now, see? Please don't do that, again, Sanji, Nami said, sadly. I don't care if it's for my sake. Don't hurt yourself any further because of me. I don't want any of my friends to hurt themselves for me. I'm sorry, Nami, Sanji whispered. As long as you are, Nami replied before the others turned back to watch the memory, where they saw past Sanji fall against the lapons, and it seemed to create some kind of domino effect because they all started following her until finally, they all disappeared in the tidal wave of snow. Damn it! Luffy cursed as he looked around and finally spotted past Sanji's hand. Don't try and hog all the glory, you dumb ass. On that, he stretched his arm out to grab past Sanji. But when he reeled it back, he screamed in horror when he realized he only managed to grab his mitten. Oh, no, Luffy cried as he looked around. Sanji, where are you? Sanjii. On that, the memory faded to black while the Straw Hats, save for Sanji, gaped in disbelief. Oh, my God, Usopp whispered. What the hell happened to you after that? Blizzard asked. I don't know, Sanji said. I blacked out after I got buried. My guess is that Luffy found me, somehow. You're lucky Luffy did find you, Chopper said, sternly. If he hadn't, you would have frozen to death. Still, Usopp began, that was a really bad avalanche. Even the village got buried with me and Vivi still in it. Luckily, she managed to dig herself out and me out. She wasn't hurt, right? Sanji asked, worriedly. No, Usopp said. At least that's what she told me. Anyway, after that, we found Zoro in the middle of the snow. Look, the memory's coming back, Aika exclaimed as the memory began to appear. Luffy was dangling off the edge of a cliff while snow continued to flow around him while past Nami was still clinging to him. He had managed to duck down behind the cliff in order to avoid the avalanche. But now, past Sanji was somewhere underneath possibly 10 feet of snow. Sanji, Luffy called out. Where are you? No answer came, not that past Sanji could answer him, anyway. Luffy looked around, trying to find any sign of past Sanji, but couldn't see anything but white. That's when he untied past Nami from his back and gently laid her down on the ground. The Straw Hats noticed that he was breathing a bit hard, possibly from the shock of seeing past Sanji get buried, before he began to pull off his mittens and put them under past Nami's head, then took off his coat and placed it over her like a blanket, and finally, he took off his hat and placed his hat on top of her chest. He looked at her face and saw that by now, it was about as red as a tomato. He knew her fever had gotten higher by now. Here, Nami, Luffy whispered. I bet you're pretty cold. Just hold on a little bit longer, okay? Oh, my God. Nami whispered, although she tried not to get choked up. She remembered hearing Luffy talking, but she was just so out of it, she couldn't really make out what he was saying at the time. Everything she heard was just muffled, probably due to being delirious because of her fever. Whoa, hold on, Blizzard spoke up. You mean he's gonna go looking for Sanji with just his vest and shorts? Looks like it, Usopp answered, worriedly as Luffy jumped off the ledge and began his search. Sanji, he called out as he looked around. Sanji, where are you? Answer me. No answer came, The wind began to blow harshly, which caused Luffy to shiver a bit before he blew on his hands and began to rub his arms. "Big brother sure looks cold," Aika said. "Yeah, makes me cold just watching him," Kumi agreed as she shivered a bit. "Sanji," Luffy called out again as he began to break into a run. "Sanji, where are you?" Still no answer, and by now, Luffy was starting to get desperate. "Sanji," Luffy called out, once more, but as he took a step forward, he heard a small groan coming from somewhere beneath the snow. He gasped before he began to dig the snow away, his fingertips starting to turn red slightly as he did, before he found the black of past Sanji's coat. "Found him!" Luffy exclaimed before he kept digging, but then he momentarily stopped as he felt the snow cut into his fingertips. Ouch! He then looked at his fingers, which twitched and shivered as he tried to curl them, but he seemed to have difficulty doing so. "Luffy's getting frostbite," Chopper said, worriedly. "Frostbite?" Aika repeated. "It's what happens when people stay in frozen temperatures without anything to shield from the cold for too long," Chopper answered. "Their bodies start freezing from the inside out. And when I first found Luffy, he looked like he was practically frozen to death, already." "Oh, dear," Robin said, worriedly. Before too long, Luffy managed to pull past Sanji out of the snow. He was unconscious, his temple was bleeding, and his mittens were missing, but he was alive. Luffy heaved a relieved sigh before he hoisted past Sanji under his armpit before he went back to past Nami, then tied her up against his back, again before he began the long, slow hike back up the mountain. "Geez," Zoro muttered, "that must be painful for him." "Big brother," Aika whispered, sadly. It pained him to watch her older half-brother suffering like this. As Luffy walked, he spotted something out of the corner of his eye. It was the baby Lapon from earlier, and for some reason, it was trying to dig out something from the snow. A closer look soon revealed that it was actually a larger paw, most likely from the baby Lapon's mother. As it kept digging, the baby sucked on its paws, which were turning red from digging in the snow too much before it began to whimper as tears formed in its eyes. "Oh, no," Brooke said. "Poor little bunny. The mother must have gotten buried in the avalanche, as well," Robin said. "Yeah," Chopper agreed. "Even Lapons can't outrun an avalanche, but that little baby won't survive without the mother or the rest of the pack. It'll be eaten by other predators for sure." Just then, the baby Lapon noticed Luffy approach before it began to growl fiercely, showing its fangs at him. However, Luffy remained undeterred, for he knew that this infant was merely trying to scare him off, thinking he was there to hurt its mother. The boy reached out to the little carnivorous rabbit, who flinched in fright like it was expecting to be hit. But instead, Luffy gently patted on the head, causing it to look up at him in surprise as the boy gave him a gentle smile. "It's okay, little guy," he whispered. "That's your mom under all that snow, isn't it?" The baby Lapon's eyes went wide while Luffy walked up to the mother Lapon's paw. "Don't worry," he told her, "I'll get her out for you." "Luffy," Chopper whispered in awe while Luffy grabbed onto the mother Lapon's paw. "Okay, heave." "Ho," Luffy grunted as he yanked the mother Lapon out of the snow. "Whoa," Frankie exclaimed. "You see that? With just one pull, too," Usopp added. Soon, the baby Lapon was happily embracing its mother, who looked at Luffy in confusion as he began to walk away while carrying past Nami and past Sanji away. The baby Lapon gave out a squeaking cry at Luffy, who turned to the mother and child before he grinned. "You're welcome," he said. "Take care, okay?" And with that, he turned and kept walking. "That was so nice of Big Brother," Aika smiled. "Yeah," Kumi began, but didn't the Lapons attack them? Why would he help them after what they put him and Sanji through? "I think it's because no matter how much Luffy might hate somebody," Chopper began, he doesn't have it in himself to just leave someone to die. Plus, Nami began, "I think it's because he knew that baby Lapon was afraid to lose its mother. Just like how Luffy lost his." "It takes a lot of strength to be kind," Sanji said. As Luffy kept walking, the wind began to pick up again and his nose and cheeks were beginning to get red, but still, he pressed on. "Just a bit longer," Luffy said as he looked toward Chimney Mountain. "I'll get you there, soon. I promise you, don't die, either of you." "No way we were planning on dying, there," said Sanji while Nami nodded her head in agreement. As Luffy kept walking, though, he heard a voice coming from behind him. King Wapol, look. There they are. Up ahead. Why those little? I'll pummel them to death for this outrage. Oh, no. Luffy muttered in annoyance as he glanced over his shoulder. Not them again. Soon, Wapol appeared along with Chedding on the back of some white, woolly hippo. What's that thing? Usopp asked. It's a white walkie, said Chopper. They're overly adapted to snowy climates. They look short, but they actually have really long legs that they hide under all that fur. Soon, the white walkie stood in front of Luffy, blocking his path. Halt! Wapol demanded. Get out of my way, Luffy countered. Mahahahaha, laughed Wapol. Fool! Why should I move? Your two friends there are more dead than they're alive? Screw you, you tin prick, Sanji cursed. How's Luffy gonna handle this? Zoro asked. He can't fight, remember? Not with Nami and the lame ass on his back? Screw you, too, Moss head, Sanji barked. Luffy rolled his eyes before he simply walked around Wapol, who gaped in disbelief. Hey, he shouted. Don't you ignore me, you idiot. Screw you, Luffy said, bluntly. I'm in a hurry, so leave me alone. Why that insolent little? Wapol growled before he smirked. Chess. I just thought of a new law. Write it down for me. Of course, your highness, said Chess as he took out a paper and a quill pen. Anyone who ignores the king gets executed on the spot, Wapol said before he pointed at Luffy. Or in particular, past Nami and past Sanji. And you can start by killing the two who ignored me the most. The sick one and the injured one. Yes, sire, Kuromarimo and Chess shouted as they leapt after Luffy, who gasped in shock. Shit, he cursed. Hey, he can't do that, Aika shouted. That's not fair. Wapol thinks that because he's the king, he can do whatever he wants, Chopper said, hatefully, but he renounced his kingship when he left the island. And yet, he still thinks he's the king, anyway, Usopp muttered. What a bunch of cowards, Zoro said. Indubitably, Brook agreed. Making an attempt on the lives of those who can't even fight back. How disgraceful. I see now why you hate this guy so much, Chopper, said Blizzard. Soon, Luffy found himself trying to dodge Kuromarimo's and Chess's attacks, knowing that if he fought right then and there, past Nami and past Sanji would definitely suffer for it. So, he could only do one thing he never imagined he'd ever do. Make a break for it. Run, Luffy, run, Usopp yelled. Run as fast as you can. Run like the devil's after you, Frankie shouted. Run, big brother, Aika cried. I won't forget this, you bastards, Luffy shouted as he ran. Don't you dare try to follow me. Unfortunately, Chess and Kuromarimo paid no heed to his warning and continued their assault, firing arrows and trying to throw punches at him. But Luffy continued to dodge their attacks, flipping and jumping and running as fast as he could. At first, it seemed like he lost them, until he had to dodge Wapol's huge tin jaws. Soon, Kuromarimo and Chess popped out of the snow, as well. Oh, no, he's trapped, Brook cried. Not good, shouted Kumi. Mahahahaha. Wapol laughed. This is snow country combat. The white mantle. Snow powder makeup, in their weakened states. You'll all be dead. Mahahahahahahahaha. Checkmate, Chess and Kuromarimo exclaimed with smug grins on their faces. No, stop, Luffy shouted. Don't do it. But then, out of nowhere, Chess and Marimo were struck down by two Lapons. What the polar bear bunny things? Luffy asked in surprise. Lapons? Wapol questioned in disbelief. They're helping him? Asked Kuromarimo. That's impossible. Chess shouted. Lapons hate humans. Luffy glanced back at the Lapons, particularly at the mother Lapon and her baby, who seemed to give him a thumbs up, causing him to smile before he turned and ran on ahead. Thanks, Lapons, he called. You're lifesavers. Wow. Chopper whispered. Lapons have never trusted humans before. It seems Luffy really got through to them, Robin smiled. Huh? Frankie laughed. One good turn deserves another, they say. The memory shifted and Luffy was shown, trudging through the snow in a wild blizzard. His teeth chattered and his body was wavering. But still, he pressed on. DDDD Tor. Luffy stuttered. DDD Tor. Oh, Luffy. Nami whispered. feeling her heart clench at seeing her captain and fiancé walk through the freezing tundra like that. The others couldn't help but feel sorry for Luffy as well. It looked painful for him to just walk by now. Soon, Luffy looked up and saw the chimney mountain before him, and as he tried to look up, he saw it was shrouded by clouds and wind. CC can't even SSS see the TTT top, he said with chattering teeth. What's he gonna do now? Asked Aika. Yeah, there doesn't seem to be anything to grab onto, Usopp said. He doesn't actually plan on climbing that, does he? It seemed that he spoke too soon, however, for Luffy soon kicked off his sandals, tightened the knot that held past Nami to his back around his stomach, and grabbed past Sanji by the back of his coat and put that in his mouth. Hang on, you guys, he said. I'll get you up there, soon. And with that, he began the perilous climb up the mountainside. The Straw Hats gaped in complete disbelief as their captain forced himself up, grabbing onto whatever he could reach. He's actually climbing the mountain, Frankie whispered. I don't believe this, Usopp shouted. Why didn't you guys just use the ropeway to get up there? What ropeway? Asked Sanji. Oh, yeah, Usopp said. You were out cold. You see, Dalton and Wapol had this fight. See? And Dalton would have won if Wapol hadn't cheated. Anyway, Dalton wanted to go to the castle to deal with Wapol himself, so he used this ropeway that connected this tree to the mountaintop and… Wait, Sanji shouted. Hold up. You mean to tell me that all this time, we could have gone up the mountain using that? Why didn't you say something sooner? I pretty much broke my back. You ran off before we found out, Usopp cried. It's not my fault. Shush, Zoro shushed. Be quiet, we can't hear anything. Luffy grunted as he kept climbing up the mountain, and at the rate he was going, it looked like he was going at a snail's pace. After a long time, Luffy's skin was practically a reddish purple. If the Straw Hats didn't know better, he almost looked like Star when she came home that day from the mountains, looking for that flower. By now, his fingers and toes had begun to split open and blood began to drip out of them, and once, when he tried to grab onto another groove in the mountain, he ended up splitting them open further, causing him to scream in pain as he did. In doing so, however, he accidentally passed Sanji, who soon went plummeting. Oh, crap! Luffy cursed. Sanji. He then stretched his neck down and grabbed past Sanji by the back of his coat with his teeth. Phew. That was close. With that, he resumed climbing, but as he did, it looked like he was going slower and slower. He had to stop almost every 5 minutes just to catch his breath, then kept climbing. However, at one point, he slipped and slid back downward, causing him to let out a muffled scream of pain as his frostbitten digits began to bleed profusely. Thankfully, he managed to stop, but he was already halfway there, and now he had to start from that point, again. My God! Blizzard whispered in shock. He's still going for it. Poor big brother, Aika said, tearfully. No wonder he was in such terrible shape when I found him, Chopper said. By now, Nami just couldn't hold her tears back. She couldn't believe what Luffy had put himself through, just to get her to a doctor. She was practically out of it, nearly dead to the whole world. And Luffy was carrying her on his back, risking his skin and limbs rotting off for her sake. And Sanji, he couldn't help but feel ashamed of himself. He put up a big talk about he was going to back Luffy up, and yet he made things worse by getting hurt and being dead weight. Zoro surely wouldn't let him live this down for the rest of his life. Sanji never felt like such a failure until he saw what O.C. Tor. Luffy grunted as he kept climbing. Doc. Tor. Vivi was wrong about Luffy, said Robin. Huh? Frankie muttered. What do you mean? She said that he was a failure as a captain, Robin said, but this shows otherwise. Yeah, I mean, look at what he's doing, Usopp said. By now, the Straw Hats estimated that Luffy had been climbing for practically hours. And once they saw the mountaintop in their sights, Usopp, Chopper, and Aika started to cheer for him. By now, Luffy was moving painfully slow, either because he was too cold or because he was in too much pain. Or perhaps both. Still, the Straw Hat captain willed himself to keep going. By now, the memory was starting to get a bit hazy, showing that Luffy was beginning to lose consciousness. But finally, after what felt like a lifetime, his hand reached the summit and he pulled himself up to see a huge castle, covered in ice and snow. Gorgeous. Robin whispered in awe. He made it. Ika said in relief. He finally made it. Luffy practically panted through his nostrils before his jaw dropped, causing him to drop past Sanji into the soft snow at his knees. "We're here," Luffy whispered with a tired smile of relief on his face. "What a pretty castle." Soon, his eyes closed, and the Straw Hats heard a soft thud. But the memory faded to black soon after.